Why can't you fuckers get your fucking opinion? Why is this fucking keep on Twitter? But you guys, no one likes them.
If you're planning on going solar, listen up for how they produce.
What's a mean name for someone who starts like I don't know. A Sundar. I hate that motherfucking Sundar fish eye. I would name my
You should have an easily that includes basic necessities, like first aid supplies, emergency water, medication, and important
Hey dude, over here.
Learn about other supplies you can prepare with at SUV.com/prepare.
Remember this
The
one?
article online says appears to be a house.
No,
Okay. Live 1 to 4 p.m.
No, what in the fucking fuck, dog? That's where the fucking guy. Oh, so this way, another one. Why the fuck do I have to quit one? Where's this motherfucker from? Pizza. I can't remember. That's one that no one said Indian Americans do. Everyone thinks I care about under a product citizenship. You only have Indian sports
for those of you on the handle show.
You make the University of Wisconsin and the University of Chicago.
And the way it works, when you buy a bank, you buy from the
this asshole goes to the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Good job, dude. Boy, go to
They have to be very, your bank has to be very well run. Now, what's going on up in
what in the fuck am I waiting?
We're going to go get parking. That's beautiful. And it is, you drive through the park, the road area drives through, you got it. If you look what happens, if you're looking at what happens over the park,
You got almost little races against Indian people? And not really. And Tim Cook, so he sucks as well. Cool, dog. Remember when this thing was like, oh, dog, this thing's great. This thing is so good.
There is a part of it,
Microsoft Edge.
It's now called JFC Promenade.
I like how, hey, Microsoft, I like how you have a status bar and it's like, well, what in the fuck? Why don't you just take up the whole fucking screen, dude? I swear to God, this is game. Tools. Shopping. I don't need this shit. How about this? Search. Just always have a fucking search bar. That's all you need. Oh, but you can use the search bar. Okay, fine. Fine. Just fucking work, dog.
First Street Promenade, for example, they changed the street in Santa Monica authorities changed that street. I don't know how many years ago. People walk that street. And you see that all over the country, and they want to
but this isn't working. Why?
Emergency
Why? I don't know. It's just fucking barber pole.
After law policy after policy, changing the way we look at cars.
Same fucking thing. But oh no, it's size. Now we got this going. $10 fish eye should get fired just for that. And saying that would just be fun. Really? Yeah. Just like this isn't a thing, is it done? God damn it. You guys gotta hear how it's this. You're not gonna let me oh, why is this fucking thing taking a loading? Like loading? Why would it have a loading? Wrong the fucking
Now, a little bit of history with the car.
I swear to God, I'm gonna fuck
When cars came onto the scene, people were scared to death of those things. I mean, there were rules that in cities you had to have someone walk with a lantern in front of a car.
Okay. What in the fuck, dude? What in the fuck?
It's actually ingrained in the DNA of most cars.
Cool.
In terms of making these walking schools, there's some pushback. Now, the bike lane. How much of the bike lane controversy have we seen? There's no place on the street. Let them go where they belong on sidewalks. They're there. So there is all kinds of pushback. Business owners are complaining that if you have a walking lane, you have no cars coming in, no parking spaces clearly, and that means fewer customers, and we're talking about gentrification, gridlock, and the traffic is now returning to the pre-virus levels. And the streets, the future of the streets, lost in balance. We're seeing a major watershed change. Now, back to Golden Gate Park. Boy, this is interesting. This is designed for people on foot or on horseback. That's the other thing. Is I think you can ride horses, but only on the sidewalk, and certainly not on the street. And park leaders beginning to say, why? To keep the autos out. So we go to 1907, and there was one commissioner that actually proposed arming policemen with short guns to shoot out the tires of cars that were seen through the park. And newspapers at that time reported on these new curves, blaming drivers for increasing traffic deaths. Well, of course. How can you not? I do not blame autos for auto deaths. So,
what in the fuck, dude?
To the Grim Reaper. And so you go to court. The court virtually held every driver responsible for every collision. Case after case. Even ruling that pedestrians have the right to cross wherever they want. And no legal obligation whatsoever to look right and left. You cross, you're fine. So now we go to the 1920s. And the bad press is piling up. The auto industry is facing this huge threat. Cities are looking at really severe restrictions, including installing devices on cars that would limit vehicle speeds to 25 miles per hour. Can you imagine being limited to 25 miles per hour? And so now the auto industry is globalized. And here is a little factoid, historical factoid, that the auto companies, there was a anti-pedestrian movement and to change pedestrians into basic compliance, looking both ways and any kind of proposed new law. They coined a new term, and that is jaywalker, which was slang for a fool. That's where that came up. You always wondered where jaywalker came up. You found the intersections. Remember all those stories? No, it means you're a fool. So now here we go. We are 100 years or 130 years later. We've got remote work. We have slow streets limiting traffic or vehicle speed on roadways. And cities have to just move it in. Did you know LA, which is now spending, $1.8 trillion per yard on the subway system. It's an insane figure. We once had the best light rail system, or one of the best in the entire country. The red car. And you can look that up. Where we had these light rails, they look like cable cars. And they drove all over. You go from the San Fernando Valley to the Pacific Ocean, Long Beach to crisscross the entire city of Southern California. And that was wiped out. How the auto industry, the auto club was formed. And manufacturers and oil companies join forces to effectively wipe out mass transit. So there are rails. You'll see them in various parts of the city. Just these railroad lines that are sunken into the pavement. You know how they do that, where you cross the intersections, etc. And there they are. No one knows where they are in the city. No one has any idea who they belong to. And there they are. You go driving, go, there's one. And no one has any idea of how that happened and where it was and where it went. That was where it went. Oh, and the interstate, this was another factoid. The interstate system that was built in the 50s by Eisenhower. You know what that was about? It was about evacuating people from the major cities out of the cities in case there was an attack by Russia. And how were they going to get out? Cars! That's the interstate system. Coming up, we have a tape with Wayne Lipnick. Right here, KFI AM 640, let's get in with Jennifer Jones. We're live on the KFI 24-hour news.
Police are looking for two men in connection with a home invasion in Westminster. They say last night's burglary video from the scene shows him exposing himself to a 9-year-old girl and assaulting her at a public library in Irvine. The man was arrested Friday and released on bail the next day. Police say the girl had gone to the library with her mom last week when she was attacked. They say the man approached her in the kids section and asked her to help him film a video with his phone. He then exposed himself and assaulted the girl. At least 26 people have been killed during tornadoes that touched down in Mississippi and Alabama. Forecasters say the tornado that hit Mississippi Friday was on the ground for more than an hour and decimated an area of twice. President of Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Tracy Harden, says her city needs prayers. She says the bar she owns and her entire community was completely
y'all should be like, oh, no.
Harden says the hardest thing to do is ask for help.
Why is it so like this?
Officers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, have been killed in a helicopter crash. The helicopter went down in a sugarcane field early yesterday morning. The crew had been part of a pursuit at the time of the crash. Fans of Taylor Swift are not taking off their bad experience with Ticketmaster while trying to get tickets for Swift's Eras Tour. Julie Barker, who is the lead plaintiff in the case, tells KCLA it was a nightmare last fall trying to get tickets. I spent over 10 hours the first day and a couple hours at the Capital One Hotel the second day, both without getting a ticket. I ended up with like $14,000 charged to my card, which later fell off, but yeah, it was a little bit of a disaster. A rally is being held in downtown LA as the case has a hearing set in federal court. Swift fans say Ticketmaster and Live Nation need to change the way they do business. We're going to look at her drive on the 91 in just a moment, but first it's Sports with Wayne. In the spring training Freeway Series opener, the Dodgers went the Angels 3-0. Game 2 today at 6. The Dodgers will start Noah Syndergaard. The Halos are going with Tyler Anderson. You can hear the action in HD on the iHeartRadio app live from the South End broadcast booth. The LA Kings held on to beat the St. Louis Blues 7-6. They're still right behind the Vegas Golden Knights at the top of the NHL Pacific Division. The Ducks get the Colorado Avalanche tonight. I'm Wayne Lesnick, KFI Sports. Here are traditional investment starts are great right now. So how about investing in an asset that not only holds its value, but is simply fun to own? Have you ever wanted a Rolex? Never thought you could afford one? Well, what if you get Schwab watches? Rolex, Omega, Cartier, Tudor, and a lot more. They have them all. Buy, sell, trade. They have a huge inventory of luxury watches. Free overnight shipping on all orders, and a great selection of vintage Rolex watches. Schwab Watches, a trusted online store to buy or sell modern and vintage luxury pre-owned watches. All watches are 100% authentic, independently certified, and now $200 off. Just Google Bob Watches and buy name bill handle. Click the link at the top to get your discount automatically applied to your order. And if you're looking to sell a luxury watch, get a fast and easy quote online for the experts at Bob. So Google Bob Watches and Bill Handle. That's Bob Watches, and Bill Handle. SoCal weather from KFI. Looks like we've got a mostly sunny day ahead. Highs will be in the mid to upper 60s. And it looks like by tomorrow, though, we'll cool it down just right around the 7th away from the left and the fast range. And that's the 7th. And that was meaning the way back from 7th Avenue as a result of that one.
Fresh answer. This is a mess. 405 northbound past Howard. Parkway crash between the carpool lane is still back from Century Boulevard. Before you get there, we've got some problems on the northbound side of the 405 in Hawthorne. It's a stall off on the right shoulder, but enough of a distraction as you back up all the way from Artesia. That stall is that Rose brand. Any diamond bar crash 63-way westbound before Graham. That one's on the right shoulder. KFI in the sky. Let's get you there fast. I will cold front.
USA difference #1 in customer satisfaction with retail banking in California by J.D. Power. Since California has come the most awards shows, please prepare to thank you too. In California, everywhere we've been proud to help and plan budget and save smarter. Our goal tracking and budgeting tools would have no place to shine if it weren't for you, and we can't thank you enough for that. Thank you to our real-life humans who go above and beyond for our customers every day. For J.D. Power 2022 awards, and visit jdpower.com/awards.
Everyone you could sell your home, you call Seller's Advantage, and they'll make you a cash offer with no need for repair. With Seller's Advantage, there are no fees. If you close your days and you buy it cash, they offer a $10,000 advance to help with moving. Check out their reviews online and call for no obligation offer at 888-321-HIS, 888-321-HIS, 888-321-2747, and visit sellersadvantage.com. CRE number 0961665. Chlorine and contaminants while retaining healthy minerals, and there's no filter to change ever. It's maintenance free. New customers get a free Epipure antibacterial filter. That's worth $825. This ends March 31st. Call 800-803-2696. Visit lightsourcewater.com. Light Water, taste and feel the difference. And Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 38,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com. Running out of hot water? Visit waterheatersonly.com. And service, friendly technicians, low prices.
Do you supply
Part of the news. What it is, why it matters.
No. Water heaters? So, heaters? No. No, actually we don't. We actually just sell water.
It is live. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
No.
Quick reminder that if you miss any segment here on the show,
So can I get
or any segment or entire shows, any of us here on KFI, we're on demand. Just go to the iHeartRadio app, and there we are. So the entire show in the time, or listen to any segment. And a quick bit of news for you that we're following. We have dry weather. Oh, it's here until tomorrow night. And it rains again. And if you look at any of the news outlets, you see what's happening in Israel. Massive protests. Just ripping across Israel. Because Netanyahu, the prime minister, and the Likud party are moving towards effectively, getting rid of the power, gelding the Supreme Court. I think that's fair to say.
I really like that.
Now it is time for, as we do every Monday, do they have a case with Wayne Resnick and moi?
Good. You just like the thing? There's more gas in there. Good. It just went away. Oh my god. You guys don't do so good.
Love those into talk radio, by the way, writing those songs. And they were so good that became a talk show host. That worked out. There's a certain little connection between writing songs. Never mind. I'm just being an asshole. That's perfect. Yeah. If you write things for people who are talk show hosts, though, that's true. That's how you end up in this world. That's fair. That's fair to say. Everybody ends up differently here. It's not one of those things that you train for. It's just so that happens. Yeah. All right, you ready to do it? Let's do they have a case with our first case, Wayne. All right, I'm going to let you decide which one we do first. I'm going to give you one word of each one. You want to have feather, or do you want to have boisterous?
Yes.
Okay. Which one will go first? I'll do another one. Feather. All right. Now, this involves a young lady graduating from high school at a school where the district does not allow you to put anything on your graduation cap. You must not. She gets asked for permission to put an eagle feather on her graduation cap because she is an enrolled member of a Native American tribe, okay? And the wearing of the eagle feather is a long, very deeply important tradition at graduation because of the history. I won't spend too much time on it, but it's important to understand why it's important to her.
I like the
Back
people
in the,
from
I think, the
Argentina.
1870s is when they started, and they took Native American children away from their families and put them in these boarding schools and tried to get them to assimilate and wouldn't let them have any of the things of their culture or speak their language or correct. And these kids in these schools were being punished, right, for not assimilating. All right, so fast forward to now, and it's a very important thing. He asks for a religious exemption. They say, sorry, there are no exceptions to this rule. Nobody puts anything on their cap, doesn't matter what it is. So she shows up anyway with the eagle feather on the cap. And I've seen a picture of it, and just so if people are imagining something huge or visually distracting, it's not. It is a very modest little feather. We have a rule, no exceptions. You can't participate. Wow, what a bummer. Except there's a kid with a breast cancer awareness. Oh, that's it. You don't have to go any further. And there he is. There he is. And they let him in. And so he sues for a discrimination and a violation of First Amendment, and that this policy is not evenly enforced, and that he was the victim of either content discrimination or viewpoint discrimination. It seems like there's nothing to discuss here. How do we know that other kids, breast cancer awareness sticker kids, how do we know he just didn't break the rule and got away with it? Oh, good point. Okay, so, and the response to that is, well, you're not even allowing me to pursue it and find out. Right. So, does she have a case just to find out what's going on? I can't see how she could not. Because the issue of you didn't know or he got away with it, we're talking about the breast cancer awareness kid, that is a factual issue, and that should be brought up in trial. So he should absolutely go forward. That did it. We did. Where does she have a right to do it at all? Incidentally, just a quick aside, is one of the wonderful things about graduation, usually it's college, but sometimes high school, is what people do to their gown and their graduation cap. Graduation cap. That's what's fun about graduating. When I graduated law school, I graduated with a chef's hat, and it was a giant word law at the bottom of my chef's hat. I got a degree in chef's law. And there was some crazy stuff. God, I hate school. Oh, no, you can't. Come on. Of course you can. That's what's fun. Graduation is fun. By the way, just as I crossed, just another story, is as I crossed the dais, and I was shook hands with the president and was given the diploma, my constitutional law teacher he's one of the teachers that are sitting down on the dais on the platform. And as I passed, you could actually hear him say, "Handle, you are a Travis." So we'll come back and we'll do more. Do they have a case with Wayne? In the meantime, let's check in with Jennifer Jones Lee live at KFI 24-hour newsroom.
Protests are breaking out and leaders are speaking out in Israel after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu fired his defense minister. A top Federal Reserve official says recent stress in the banking sector is bringing the U.S. closer to recession. Representative confirms to People magazine that Harry Potter in just a moment.
Your house is worth a ton of money. I mean, over the last few years, imagine what the values are. And maybe it's time now, if you've been thinking of borrowing against your home, and interest rates are going up. So, okay, let's pull the trigger now. If you need $75,000 or more and you've been waiting, maybe now is the time because your house is not going to be worth more next year. And let me suggest HMS Capital can help you borrow that money with the equity that you built. There are no appraisal or credit report fees to apply for. I've done 2 mortgages with HMS Capital. Clearly, I'm a fan. They have the best. So call HMS Capital at 833-255-5698. 833-255-5698. Visit hmscapital.com.
SoCal weather from KFI. We've got a mostly sunny day ahead. Highs will be in the low to mid 60s. This report is brought to you by Caltrans and CleanCA.com. From Southern California, Toyota dealer Stafford Center. Let's go places like the 101.
Yeah, we're east of there on the 101 freeway from northbound side, right there, Laurel, and 405, headed towards Universal City. Southbound side of 405, you're going to get your brakes looks like right around Victory Boulevard, makes your way down to the over the pass, opens up once you get past Sunset Boulevard. Ontario, still a bad crash, 10 freeway westbound before Haven. 2 right lanes are blocked there. Things are slow from Berry Avenue coming out of Fontana. And in Santa Monica, crash there on the right shoulder, causing you some delays. Westbound side of the 10 past Lincoln. That's slow from Cloverfield Boulevard. KFI in the sky. Let's get to there faster. I'm Will Goldfront.
If you've got joint pain and they're telling you surgery is your best option, please stop what you're doing. Call QC Kinetics.
It's Jerry and Sam, and their folks at QC Kinetics have been using the latest, most advanced regenerative treatments to bring lasting pain relief that's natural. These precision treatments are done in the office. No drugs and no downtime.
QC Kinetics has hundreds of clinics all over America and thousands of satisfied patients.
If your joints have been discovering amazing possibilities with regenerative medicine.
Especially this time of year, you need to be living your life to the fullest. Free consultation.
213-997-PAIN. That's 213-997-PAIN. 213-997-PAIN. Losing air conditioning on a hot summer day can be a bloody old nightmare, and no one wants that back. Help your air conditioner last longer and reduce breakdowns with a rejuvenation.
Will it increase the life of your system?
We'll clean the outdoor coils the right way, not the easy way.
Rejuvenation. Just $429.
Gale Air Conditioning and Plumbing. We'll leave PCL.com. We'll keep you cool, but it's hard to sell. Why do you still stay on right from the music you love to the podcast and family without? The iHeartRadio app has it all for free. Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Portions of the following program will be recorded. And now, a few words from your dog.
Hey, it's Jennifer Jones. Please join me and my team of Wake Up Call Wigglers at Brookside Park in Pasadena, Sunday, April 2nd for Pasadena Humane's Wiggle Waggle Walk to raise funds to help them care for the hundreds of animals they take in each year. To donate or join our team and walk with us, go to KFIAM640.com/wiggle.
KFI AM 640, Bill Hizzle here on a Monday morning, March 27th. News that just broke. Bill Washington was nominated to head the FAA. They just withdrawn his name from the nomination, and it was some Republicans that criticized him based on the fact that his experience. He was CEO of Denver International Airport, and Ted Cruz actually led the move to not nominate him or not confirm him, saying he didn't have enough heavy FAA airline flying experience. He was a businessman, CEO of Denver. And he's only been there for 2 years. So so Cruz said we need someone with much more experience in aviation. And so Washington said, I'm done. Thank you very much. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. We finished our Monday with Do They Have a Case with Wayne and me. Boisterous. What does it mean to be boisterous? This matters to a bunch of school children in South Carolina. South Carolina has 2 laws that are the subject of this case. One of them is a general disorderly conduct law, and it's a crime, a misdemeanor, to conduct oneself in a disorderly or boisterous manner. And the other law that they have specifically is about schools. They call it the Disturbing Schools Law, and it says the students or teachers of any school or college is on. Now, do have laws, and they're on the books, but nobody ever does anything with them. They love this law. In fact, the schools love it. There was a DA in South Carolina who had to write a letter to the school district in his jurisdiction and say, please stop referring all these kids to me for criminal prosecution. You must have some kind of eternal disciplinary action. Over a 5-year period, over 3,700 kids, we're talking kids as young as 7, were referred for criminal prosecution under the disorderly conduct law, and over the same period, over 9,500 were sent for prosecution for the disturbing the school. Well, finally, a bunch of the kids get together, their parents and their lawyers got together, and they file a big class action lawsuit saying these laws are unconstitutional because they are too vague. And as you know, Bill, if a law is too vague, it is void for vagueness. You can't have it in criminal law. You have a right to know specifically what's prohibited and whether or not your behavior was violated. So it centers on basically a couple of things, the main one being boisterous.
Tim Cook's account.
They don't define what it is to be boisterous under this law. They just use the word boisterous.
That's hilarious.
What do you think? Is that too vague? How would you even decide if it was too vague? And immediately refer, I think of, well, first of all, I think the problem here is application of the law, where it is beyond reasonable. They have to have other ways of dealing with it, because this is so overloading the system that the DA says, come on, you can't do this. Now, the legal issue here as to what is boisterous, what is disorderly? When you argue disorderly conduct, what is playing music too loud? And I don't know the answer. The police will come out and say it's too loud, but maybe you've got a neighbor that has super sensitive hearing. How about a dog barking?
It's so like
the dog barking is too loud. What does that mean? And how do the police determine that? I had a case, my daughter lived in a condo that we have, where the downstairs neighbor was screaming too loud, and actually filed a lawsuit against her. Saying that your daughter was being too loud. Right, saying my daughter and her roommate was being too loud. We had to fight it. We hired a sound engineer. The low level one. And the case was settled because who knows what too loud is? Even then, we couldn't determine that 110 decibels or 105 decibels are too loud. That's really loud, though. I know you just threw those numbers out. 105 decibels. Yeah, I think, I know. It's a 706. Yes, even though I think that boisterous, it can be determined what boisterous is based on the other laws of disorderly conduct. Someone has to determine that. But I'm going to say that I don't know that. When a word is defined in the law that it's in, where do you look? You go to the dictionary. You do, or you go to the intent of the legislation too. But that could be, you're right. You can go to the dictionary, Merriam-Webster. So boisterous can mean all of these things. Noisily turbulent, rowdy. So the problem here is you have a law that is the way it's written. If some kids are on the playground and they're going, yay, 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 somebody decides you're boisterous, off you go for a misdemeanor criminal charge. They try to do what you're doing. How is it being applied? What's the you decide?
Oh, dog.
That was kind of loud enough that I turned around to see what was happening.
Oh, no.
That would be...
That's fucking...
But if I just heard somebody speaking very loudly... Well, so, between it's facially unconstitutional or it's unconstitutional as applied. So, because one is the way in which, for example, they're doing with it, and the other one doesn't. Right. Well, as applied,
What the fuck am I waiting, dog?
That is, you can't determine. The other one is where it would be unconstitutional, but it is applied in a capricious, complied in a way law in Merriam-Webster. You're not going to like the answer. but I'll give it to you. Without order. Last night's order. Well, there you go. That makes sense constitutionally. All right, Wayne, you're done. We'll talk again tomorrow. All right? That was great. Shannon, good morning.
Good morning.
You're wearing, it looks like you're in the middle of going outside in the wind. I know, the shawl and all empty. Yeah.
Comes to cold.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, every time you wear that shirt, I think about the dead man who it belonged to. Because I know some of your flea market finds.
It is.
And I know
that
it's
new shirt.
Yeah, and it's hideous. It's the most hideous shirt I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is.
It's probably my least most favorite shirt of yours. And whoever owned that shirt before you did is dead.
Probably.
Long dead.
Yeah, probably about
Like maybe 1993.
Yeah, well, maybe that. Probably his father is dead too. Okay, this is my
It's sure is. It's so hideous.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
It's terrible.
Thank you. What
It's,
do you have on the shirt?
it hurts my eyes. It's like visual jihad is what that shirt is.
Well, good. What's going on today?
I don't know. I just got here.
So, all right. Today, Shannon is going to talk about, she just got here and has no idea what's on the
I
show.
came from the Tim Conway Senior School.
640 Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Congratulations to Steve Gregory, earning 2 more Golden Mike Awards for his collection. Collection. Sorry, basically hoarding. Steve Gregory's hoarding Golden Mike Awards.
KSI.
KOST-82.
Los Angeles.
What in the flying fuck?
Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Worried about more slides. I'm Jennifer Jones Lee live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. A hillside in Pacific Palisades has slid into a home. KFI's Blake Crowley reports live from the Palisades where at least 2 homes have been evacuated.
A family of 8 lives in one of the homes the hillslide ran into. A man was also evacuated from his home, which sits above the impacted hillside. He tells me he saw some cracks in his floor yesterday.
It wasn't anything big. Then I had to call out for something else. When I came back the second time, I went back to pick over for us, and it was like 16 inches down.
He said those cracks grew and grew, and by the time firefighters told him to leave last night, inspector and geologists are set to respond today to assess the situation. No injuries have been reported. Reporting live in Pacific Palisades, Blake Crowley, KFI News.
News is brought to you by Pacific Coast Termite. The water use restrictions in California have been lifted as a result of all of our rain and snow. The state has canceled its request for voluntary 15% water conservation statewide and is ending its request.
We were going to make it really easy to make like a thing. I'm like, hey, things to make here. No, let's get each other off of
ornamental grass on commercial property is still banned. People in a rural town between Temecula and Hemet say they're being terrorized by wild dogs that have mauled and killed about 300 sheep and goats in the past 3 months.
Girls, come on.
People in
People
Kansas say the wild dogs also chased a young boy and left 31 animals dead in a raid earlier this month.
Dude, I swear to God, I think
He
it's coming.
was divorced last week when his neighbor called to tell him a group of wild dogs attacked his family. 2 men from Murrieta have been killed in a helicopter crash near Paris in Riverside County. It crashed Saturday in the town of Nuevo. Authorities say a call was received about an emergency in the air moments before a 7-seater helicopter went down in a remote area. Officials are trying to figure out what caused the crash. President Biden has issued an emergency declaration for Mississippi, where more than 24 people have been killed by an EF4 tornado. The National Weather Service says preliminary information shows
Laying under that open waiter, you know,
Look at a bad day.
he was on his back.
Sit down.
He was just laying beside him with her arm on him.
At least 1 person died from a tornado that hit Alabama. A tornado yesterday in Georgia destroyed 80 to 100 homes and caused several injuries. Israel's national security minister says the plan to overhaul the country's judiciary has just been postponed. The announcement comes after tens of thousands of Israelis demonstrated outside Parliament in Jerusalem in protest of the plan. For the first time ever, the country's largest union also went on strike. This protester said she would fight until order is returned to her country. 800,000 members of Israel's largest trade union stopped work. The diplomats walked off the job at foreign missions. The resistance comes after tens of thousands of people burst into the streets in the country, lit bonfires on Tel Aviv's main highway, and closed roads throughout the country for hours. And the federal government has found a buyer for the failed Silicon Valley Bank, which refused to protect depositors. ABC's Mark Remillard says the FDIC reached an agreement with North Carolina's First Citizens Bank to take on all of Silicon Valley's deposits and loans.
The statement says the transaction includes First Citizens purchasing about $72 billion in assets, and that both the FDIC and First Citizens will share in losses and the potential recovery of loans going forward.
Customers of Silicon Valley Bank will automatically become First Citizens customers. The former SVB branches will reopen today as First Citizens Bank. Taking a look at your KFI financial update brought to you by Jacoby and Myers. The Dow is up 183, S&P is up 3, NASDAQ is down 75, and the average price of a gallon of unleaded gas in California is $4.82. Don't wait. Maximize your compensation after an accident. Call Jacoby and Myers now. Justice for you since 1972. SoCal weather from KFI. 60s for the most part today. Then by some mountains as well, and high those days just in the upper 50s, so right at 60. Right now it's 52 in Laguna Hills, 53 in Baldwin Park, 50 in Pacoima. Let's get a look at your drive with VKFI in the sky, and we're going back to the 10.
Yeah, we can look here in Ontario. The 10 freeway westbound right before Stephen Avenue, so we have a crash. Well, only a couple of big rigs there. Traffic stopped from Ferry Avenue out of Fontana on the 10. I would definitely opt for the 60 if that is an option for you headed out of the Harupa Valley there, because 10 is just no fun. We've got issues in Corona, 91 westbound of Auto Center Drive. Crash there, has to kind of slow from Main Street. Some problems earlier, problems on the 60 in Roland Heights, eastbound, right before 4th and road crash there on the right shoulder. You will still find some delays back from 7th Avenue. And problems for the San Fernando Valley. First of all, in Encino crash there, 101 southbound before Balboa. That's in the center lane. That's really tying things up from Tampa. And then beyond that, right around Laurel Canyon, we had a crash there as well. Clearing and constructing KFI in the sky. Let's get you there faster. I'm Will Goldfleck. This hour is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Lowe's FEC's bonus days are back for pros. Right now, buy the DeWalt 20-volt max power stack battery 2-pack at $199 and get a select DeWalt Bear Tool free. Plus, earn 3 times the bonus points on all Masapo HPT tools and products. Shop even more savings and bonus points offers during MVP's bonus days at Lowe's. Bonus points calculated before tax and fees after applicable discounts events. About 320 to 331. Subject to change. 331. Subject to change. Select various locations. While supplies last. Discount taken in town purchase. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
At Southern California Edison, keeping our communities safe from the threat of wildfire is our priority. We're installing insulated power lines, managing visitation, and inspecting and upgrading equipment on 50,000 square miles of community and wild spaces. Helping to keep our communities safe is a job we take very seriously, because the communities we serve are the communities we live and work in too. Learn more at SCP.com/mitigation. Inflation is nothing more than legalized debt. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and to preserve your wealth, I highly recommend keeping physical gold in your retirement account. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold, which is the only gold IRA company I trust. So text SHELTER to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Call Service Champions for an $88 per kitchen heater tune-up, or visit ServiceChampions.com. More stimulating talk.
I radio station.
All right, drop the big Who's there? Gary Hoffman is my best friend. I am understandably curious. Dan and Sarah used to contact me. And yet this stuff here is considered service writer Harry and Shannon. You think that's going viral? That's going viral.
You and I were not invited to.
Harry Shannon. Everywhere.
I was like scrolling through social media and I'm like, oh, the Golden Mike, oh, there's Emily, there's everyone. And I'm like, oh, there's the doctor, there's everyone but us. Okay. Well, that happened because my big mouth was on the air talking one morning about, oh, hey, I saw that it was a freeway series. And I was like, told you, it's all dope, but I was saying that too. Like Nick and Tyler and whatever. Then it became a thing, and then we got the week, and then we I got it for tickets. And no, it was great. Never invited anywhere.
We need up the oxygen in our
We really do.
We apologize.
You're going to take my seat next time. No, it's okay. I thought it was such a better time without us. Honestly. No, but it makes me feel really good. The bomb head was scary this morning in my exuberance over the Dodgers winning. My head does hurt. So seriously, yeah. Oh.
Oh, I just added a female. Oh, female. Well, here it's
I'm short. It's supposed to be 50-50. Right. We were both at about 65 or 70%. So the extra, 30-40% was from her head to my jaw. And I went,
Oh, you want to just, like, I just want to turn off nudity for 1 second. Nope.
well, listen,
Oh, shit. You want to see what that's going on? Oh, no, you just, oh, dog, you're 32 minutes into this motherfucker. We're ready for it to bomb on. Yeah, you just, oh, dog. Oh, dog.
The deal is the workers union at DIU and LAUSD. We have some hair in the skies we got to get to, speaking of. That's due at Hard a little bit later.
That's what you said that we unveiled. And I love it. You are gone.
I love it.
Well, Wanda came up with it, and it's great. It usually ends in murder.
I have a mixtape Monday thing that we're going to have to bring up. My wife and daughter started listening to a song. I'm almost certain, like 98% certain, you will know the song. I've never heard it before in my life, and they were both singing it at the top of their lungs, dancing in the kitchen last night.
Okay.
And it was one of those moments where I felt like I am so completely out of touch. It's not a new song.
So you are out of touch when it comes to music, but that's okay. You're 50.
You watch your mouth.
No, but I was texting Mondo on Friday because I was listening to my Cyrus song, and it was driving me insane because it reminded me of another song, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And so I Googled it, and another song came up that it allegedly samples, and that wasn't the one I was thinking of. And then suddenly, like an epiphany, I heard it, and I was like, it was exactly the song. And it's crazy because the song that it's reminiscent of was not a huge hit. I mean, it was a hit, but it was also like 20 years ago. So we'll get into that as well.
Oh, cool. Good. Well, I'm glad we got a big show.
Montebello, Chris Little and I were like, not a real tornado. And then when the eventual pictures came out, it was obviously there was some damage there, and I felt bad. I was like, my news judgment is off when I thought, it's not really a tornado. And then what happened over the weekend happened, and I realized that my news judgment was absolutely accurate, because this is a tornado.
At least 26 people killed in this tornado in Mississippi. Rolling Fork, Mississippi is basically gone.
Right.
They are expecting more severe weather over the course of the next couple of days. Search and rescue teams working last night through the rubble as they were trying to find any survivors if there were any. Mary Cockrell, by the way, is a resident of Rolling Fork, and she described what happened on Friday night with her and her husband.
It's scary. Very scary. We're sitting out on the patio and we heard, we could see the lightning really bad.
Oh,
and you could hear it roaring. Some folks say it sounds like a train. It was bad, but I didn't connect it with train. But I told my husband, I said, Harvey, we got to get in the house quick. And we got in the house, and I said, let's get in the hall. That's the only thing I know, get in the hall. We grabbed our little Yorkie, Cooper. We got in the hall. We had 2 blankets. We covered each other up with blankets. We had 2 blankets. We covered each other up with blankets. He kept screaming up me, getting more move. And I said, you're going to have to move. I said, that tree, I see it coming down through a big oak tree, old oak tree. And he got down, and I said, well, I think the raptors caught it.
By CNN this morning is true.
That's tough.
It's pretty amazing the amount of disruption, some of the drone footage that you've seen over the weekend, last night and this morning. I mean, it's indescribable in terms of the loss of destruction that took place. Referred to the similarities with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because it was just devastated by all of this. And a weird thing that happens, I think it was the Washington Post this morning, had split screen pictures. One side was one half of the tree from a couple of months ago, a satellite picture, and the other one was from this weekend. On the left side is all of this beautiful greenery, lush lawns, full trees. And on the right side, apocalyptic, just stripped trees that are now standing there.
You hear about the tigers?
Oh, in Georgia.
Yeah, 2 tigers escaped their enclosures yesterday at a zoo in Georgia after the tornado damaged the animal park there. It's a drive-through zoo.
Okay.
I've never heard of that event, but sounds cool. But the 2 tigers are safe back in their enclosures. They were out safe and about for a couple hours. Can you imagine that? You're just driving on the road and there's a freaking tiger?
Yeah, after you've already been...
You're right, I guess.
Dealing with the tornado scares.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm also keeping an eye. We had a shooting at a school in Nashville.
Yeah, I did tell that also.
Active aggressor. Have you ever seen it categorized as that?
No.
National Fire just put it out as an active aggressor.
It's in middle school, too.
And they proved that the shooter is dead, according to Metro News.
Strange word is an aggressor. Multiple people. Yeah, it's very different.
It's an area, I guess, southwest, it looks like, of downtown Nashville. Again, if you know where the Bluebird Cafe is, pretty iconic place out in that area. So, good point. We'll keep an eye on that. Coming back. Well, the Manhattan grand jury is due to meet today. We don't know what's on their agenda, but that was the topic of the kickoff of the campaign. Anyway, we'll talk about the latest and all of that stuff. Donald Trump's rally down in Waco, all of that still coming up. Gary and Shannon will continue. Jennifer Jones 3 is live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
And we're continuing to monitor the situation just outside Nashville at Covenant School, where Nashville Fire Department says there was an active aggressor, and you have Metro Nashville PD saying that an active shooter in the area. So as soon as you have a definition on this, we'll bring it to you. House of Representatives is moving forward on a bill that would ban TikTok in the U.S., and Philadelphia is rescinding its bottled water alert. The advisory went out after a chemical spill in the Delaware River over the weekend. We'll get a look at your drive with KFI in the sky in just a moment.
So why should you choose Houdini if you're hurt in a car accident or a motorcycle accident or a trucking accident? Well, let's let the results speak for themselves. Some of the settlements won for injuries by the attorneys this weekend. Write this one down. $29 million won for a client hurt in a multiple vehicle accident. Or $11 million won for a client hurt in a trucking accident.
Here, the most firms settle in their lifetime. So if you're hurt in an accident and results matter to you, call the attorneys at Sweet James.
You say nothing until they win. Now, I can't guarantee the outcome of any case, but it is important you have an experienced and successful law firm on your side.
Get a free consultation, 800-500-5200, 800-500-5200. That's 800-500-5200, or go to sweetjames.com.
Still got weather from KFI. It's a partly cloudy day ahead with highs in the low to mid-60s. This report is brought to you by BeWaterWise.com. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places like the 101.
101 freeway southbound, or eastbound right there before Balboa. Crash on the right shoulder. Traffic flow from your neck coming out of the West Valley. That's right there. Outside of the 405, you're going to start to hit the brakes. Just a little bit south of Victory Boulevard, making your way on down to this overpass. It opens up nicely once you get past Sunset Boulevard. Over on the other side of the valley, the 101 right around Laurel Canyon. Now, we have reports of a crash on the northbound side, but it's the southbound side. It's pretty slow as you get away from Woodman Avenue headed towards the Hollywood area there. Very slow as well on the westbound side of the 10. You're getting away from the 110 freeway. Slow as go all the way out to Mid-City. And in Ontario, finally, some good news on the 10 freeway westbound before Haven. They have cleared the crash there involving Big Ridge. Still slow out of Fontana. KFI in the sky. Let's get to there faster. I will full credit.
This report is sponsored by Albertsons and Bonds. Shop for your Bonds or Albertsons for used coupons and save. Get
fresh 80% lean ground beef for $1.83 per pound, minute 10 pounds. And weather green for the fruit are $1.83 per pound with this coupon on Albertsons.com. Now from March 20th.
Brought to you by the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, with rebates for water-saving devices and tips to reduce water use inside and out. Visit twaterwise.com. That's twaterwise.com. People's Print and Marketing Services help small business print big. Now get $15 off signs, banners, and posters when you spend $75 or more. Offer ends 4/15. Visit staples.com/print page for details. This is the time to try Staples, where prints are perfect, guaranteed.
Inflation is nothing more than legalized theft. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul. And to preserve your wealth, I highly recommend keeping physical gold in your retirement account. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold, which is the only gold IRA company I trust. So text SHELTER to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Lowe's SEC's bonus days are back with Pro. Right now, buy the Wall 20-volt Max Power Stack Battery 2-pack at $199 and get a select DeWalt Bear Tool free. Plus, earn 3 times the bonus points on all the Tabo HPT tools and products. Shop even more savings and bonus points offers during MVP bonus days at Lowe's. Bonus points calculated before tax and dues after applicable discounts and benefits. About 3 points to 231. Separate change. Select various locations. While supplies last. Discount taken town and person. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP bonus points for details.
Join us to celebrate the songs and artists you've loved over the past year.
At our 2023 iHeartRadio Music Awards.
Hosted by Lenny Kravitz.
With individual awards kicking in Taylor Swift.
And performances by iHeart Warriors Vivian, Coldplay, Kelly Clarkson, LL Cool J, Cinnamon, Pat Benatar, Emil Giraldo, Lotto, Money Long, Cody Johnson, and more.
Watch on Fox and listen on iHeartRadio.
Tonight at 8 p.m.
You know what percentage Americans have a double-digit IQ? 50%. 25% are under 90. That's what you're dealing with in government. You're dealing with everybody with a room temperature IQ. John and Kim. Right. And that's why government is incompetent. Live 1 to 4 p.m. on KFI. And on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Are you done?
Not only on the severe storms in the south, but the story that Jonesy told us about just before we went to break, first responders in Tennessee, and the scene of a shooting at an elementary school/middle school. Covenant School is a private Christian school, according to its website, down in the southwest part of Nashville, out in some of the suburbs there. Did you know that there was what they referred to as an active shooter event? The Nashville Fire Department called it an active aggressor. And according to Nashville Fire, their tweet just simply says that they have multiple patients. But there are other reports that there may have been some fatalities, including the shooting.
U.S. and Mexico considering an agreement on the fentanyl and guns to both sides of the border, and the news reporting it.
We're following the story today in Warwick as well. First, Silicon Valley Bank, last couple weeks ago, according to the FDIC, all of Silicon Valley Bank's 17 branches reopened today as First Citizens. The First Citizens said the branches will operate as Silicon Valley Bank Company softball business.
Jury deliberations are continuing as we speak in the federal criminal trial of suspended LA City Councilman Marcus Thomas, who's accused of clearing lucrative county contracts to a social work school in exchange for the slate of benefits for his son. Prosecutors rested their case Friday. Jury got it briefly. So they are back today talking about it. I believe he faces 5 years.
Did you see the whole Gwyneth Paltrow? We talked a little bit about it on Friday when she took the stand. In Park City, Utah, a doctor, an optometrist, is accusing her of running into him while they were skiing, and he was asked at one point, she's awful to sit and watch. I mean, just the absolute inability to relate to normal humans is stunning. But she was asked about the loss of her enjoyment on that day.
And he has deterred you from enjoying the rest of what was a very expensive decision. Well, I lost half a day's meal. Stop it! Are you serious?
Where?
Are you serious? Okay, so I saw this meeting this morning, and it was a shot of her on the stand, and the caption was a direct quote from Marissa Tomei from My Cousin Vinny about car theft.
Mm-hmm.
And it really pissed me off because how dare you compare Gwyneth to a sterling character, a wonderful character in cinematic history in that role of her breaking down the car mechanics. Like,
Well, I lost half a day's meal.
what in, I almost said a bad word.
It's pretty,
He's terrible.
pretty unbelievable.
He's really terrible. It's like so out of touch too. Like Tony Depp doesn't even begin to talk about it.
What I like, my daughter was saying something about how she's super annoyed at Gwyneth Paltrow. She doesn't even know Gwyneth Paltrow as a young actress, that we all got to know her in what Shakespeare in Love was probably the one that she's really bold
Never
about.
saw it.
It was, I thought it
I
was good.
can't stand her. I've never been able to stand her.
Back then you could stand her.
I liked her in Sliding Doors.
Also supposed to be one of the great ones. That's one I've never seen. And then the one with Ethan Hawke, Big Expectations, maybe? No, that's here. Anyway, she was in a movie with him too.
They were married, weren't they?
Don't know. It's a good question. But just the fact that she's so completely out of touch when it comes to normal people and how they react in situations like that.
Well, I lost a half day of feeling.
Yeah.
Running.
So, Donald Trump had a rally.
Great expectations, you were right.
I was right. Donald Trump had a rally over the weekend down in Waco, Texas.
Doesn't sound very good.
Clearly, his microphone didn't work. See if I can find a better version of exactly what he's going to say. But he was there in Waco, Texas, and spoke about all kinds of different things. I don't know why that doesn't work well. So, among other things, he talked about the different criminal indictments that are staring him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to concentrate on the one out of Manhattan because to be honest, it's minor league baseball compared to the other two. The one in Georgia, where he is accused of violating election laws of the state of Georgia, and then the one in D.C., where, among other things, he's accused of making those absconding, perhaps, with classified documents, and then having some sort of a role in the prep, I guess you could say, for the January 6th riot at the Capitol. And we know today that the Manhattan grand jury is getting together to discuss the hush money payments that supposedly were paid to storm the gang.
Look at this.
The grand jury did not claim, they don't have to explain to us what they're doing, what the agenda is, but we do know that this has been something that kind of, we thought was going to happen last week, and then it didn't happen, and then was going to happen again, and then didn't happen again. So all of that,
fuck you, everybody.
one of the things that he talked about for his hour and a half, basically, on this, one of the things that he talked about for his hour and a half, basically, on this tarmac there at the airport in Waco was Ron DeSantis, and claimed that Ron DeSantis had tears in his eyes when he begged for Donald Trump's endorsement.
Oh my God.
And that Donald Trump gave it reluctantly, thinking, well, you're not going to win. I don't know why I would endorse a loser like you. But then it reluctantly gave the endorsement, and then obviously Ron DeSantis goes on to win. The weird part about that is the crowd was not responding. I don't know if they're tired. They've been out there for a long time. They're standing in the sun. They've gone through and had to listen to Ted Nugent, Matt Gaetz, and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
But
Was it a good turnout?
it's hard to tell. I mean, the shots I saw, there were a couple
I feel
thousand
like what he
people.
cares about it.
Right. But most of the static shots are from, front of the podium, so all you see is the grandstand behind him.
There was this woman quoted in a BBC article, Debbie
I can
Harvey.
use BBC article, girl.
I don't believe
I am
in this
BBC.
stuff.
It's
If my
on top,
friend
baby.
doesn't get invited, God still answers prayers. Now, if you're praying that Donald Trump doesn't get indicted, that's a little too much. I mean, I know that a lot of people send prayers up for various people they don't even know, but there's something of that nature.
Speaking of which, quick thing, the new nickname, it looks like, instead of Ron DeSantis,
Tiny D?
Ron DeSanctimonious, Ron DeCaucus. To go after Mike DeCaucus.
What is that for?
So Donald Trump retweeted a video from King Hilton, the host that talks about, he talked on
Donald Trump on Twitter
and referred to Ron DeSantis' flip-flop on what happens with Ukraine. He claims he was misquoted about whether or not the United States needs to support the war. The hard question is, what would you do?
He's got
Look at this guy. Ron DeSantis. Or as perhaps could now be known, Ron DeCaucus. It is just like the hapless Democrat presidential nominee in 1988. DeSantis managed to look weak and incompetent all in one go.
That's not going to stick. Nobody even remembers who Mike DeCaucus is.
You have to explain it. Yeah.
Right. But 1988 is a world away.
So Donald Trump reposted it, I guess, that video at about 3:30 in the morning on Truth Social. And they say maybe he goes with it, maybe he
Who
doesn't.
is this guy? He's a pretty
Hilton.
That's a stretch. That is a bridge too far.
When we return, protests around the world will explain what's going on.
You know, it's like, I'm not even a Ron DeSantis fan, but all of this stuff is putting me in a corner more than I would be.
Which is
Ridiculous.
right. But see, the same people, there are other people who are like, well, Donald Trump's being the victim of all of this stuff, so they're going to be in his corner too.
Yeah.
And that's almost
It's an odd, yeah, it really is.
Jennifer Jones-Lee, live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
Well, the person suspected of opening fire at a private Christian school in Nashville is dead. The Nashville Fire Department confirmed there are multiple patients, but their conditions are not known. The Metro Nashville Police Department says the shooter died after being engaged by officers, but it's not clear whether the shooter died by suicide or was shot by cops. The Covenant School's website says it has about 200 students enrolled from preschool to 6th grade. A chunk of hillside has fallen onto a home in Pacific Palisades. A family of 8 had to find another place to stay Saturday night. An elderly man who lived above the impacted hillside also had to leave his home. A grading inspector and a geologist are expected to assess the situation later today.
They have the worst.
Another plane getting ready to fly out of LAX had to return to the gate because a passenger opened the exit door and caused the emergency flag to pop open. It happened as the plane was being pushed away from the gate late Saturday morning. Airport police detained the guy and the FBI was called. It's not clear what man opened the door. The flight was headed to Seattle. A person's been found dead at an apartment complex that caught fire in El Monte. The fire was reported early this morning in a top-floor unit. The person who died was found inside. Firefighters say there was ammunition inside, and it may have sounded like gunfire to the neighbors. And North Korea has fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles as the U.S. and South Korea expand military drills in the region. It was North Korea's 7th missile test this month. The missiles landed outside Japan's exclusive economic zone. Japan's military said the missiles flew on an irregular trajectory and reached a maximum altitude of 31 miles. This SoCal weather from KFI. We've got a partly cloudy day ahead. Temperatures should be in the mid-60s for the most part. By tomorrow, more clouds are rolling in. Temperatures cooling into the low to mid-60s. Our chance of showers starts later on tomorrow night. That chance of rain this week comes Wednesday into Thursday with a chance of snow in the mountains once again. 51 right now in Rancho Margarita, 54 in Garden Grove. Let's get a look at your drive with KFI in the sky and check out that drive on the 405. Coming down the road, we go have some flowing on the 405 from the 110. On up to Lawndale to get to before the 105, and it opens up pretty nicely for you. The new problems in West LA for the 10 eastbound right before the 405. Somebody lost their mattress in the middle lanes of the freeway. That's just slow back from Central Valley. Regularly crashed in Long Beach 710, southbound past the 91. The center lane blocked with that one. That's the slow from Alondra. Our earlier problems in the Ontario area are gone. It's kind of slow, though, as you see some calls getting away from the 15 on that westbound train. The 60 is still better.
water flow. You south side of the 15 from El Cerrito on down. This is Temescal Valley. There's a lot of traffic there, nothing in lane. KFI in your style. Get you there faster. I'm going to pay for download. Lowe's MVP Bonus Days are back with Lowe's. Right now, buy the wall 20-volt max power stack battery cell pack at $199. Get a selected wall fair tool free. Plus, earn 3 times the bonus points on all the Topo HPP tools and products. Got even more savings and bonus points offers during MVP's bonus days at Lowe's. Bonus points calculated before tax and fees after applicable discounts and benefits. 320 to 371. Subject to change. Select verify location. Walk by glass. Discount taken time of purchase. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
At Southern California Edison, keeping our community safe from the threat of wildfire is our priority. We're installing insulated power lines, managing vegetation, and inspecting and upgrading equipment on 50,000 square miles of community and wild spaces. Helping to keep our community safe is a job we take very seriously, because the communities we serve are the communities we live and work in too. Learn more at SCE.com/mitigation. Inflation is nothing more than legalized theft. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul. And to preserve your wealth, I highly recommend keeping physical gold in your retirement account. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on Gold IRA from Burt's Gold, which is the only Gold IRA company I trust. So text SHELTER to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Data show and RVs, ViralRabbi.com. Massive overstock day. Over 1,000 RVs. More stimulating talk.
Inviting us places probably isn't the way to go.
Seems like I would advise my children against that. I don't need to.
Our children.
Jerry and Karen, KFI, AM 640 live everywhere on the IR radio app.
Everyone keeps coming in here. The Dodgers picking up the Angels tonight at 6 in Anaheim.
So we got tickets for that
For the Freeway Series. Listen to the game in HD on the free iHeartRadio app live from the Dalton Motors broadcast booth. By the way, if I had an extra ticket, I would have invited her, but I wouldn't have invited you because you wouldn't have appreciated it. It's true. You would appreciate that. I mean, he does appreciate baseball, but not a Dodgers Angels series. I don't think. Would you? Okay, he's giving me a really bad dirty look.
I told you I watched 14-year-olds play baseball.
Yeah. I have. So would you remind that they were booty waxes? Ooh. I never thought of it that way. Yeah. Look at that booty. That's what it was. Taking that booty. Yeah. Oh, you're right.
The New York grand jury hearing testimony about Donald Trump and paying hush money to a porn star now headed into it.
They don't say that,
They do not know what they're talking about. They have been expected to reconvene today. The grand jury's been figuring out this case, as well as some other unrelated matters. So the agenda for the week is not clear. We were discussing the rally that Ron DeSantis is falling like a rock when it comes to these national polls. But a couple of state-specific polls, important state-specific polls, Iowa, New Hampshire, for example, show he is doing just fine. As a matter of fact, the surveys provided to Axios for just last week found that Governor DeSantis is leading former President Trump by 8 points in Iowa right now, and is tied with Trump in New Hampshire at 39%.
He did his Truth Social early this morning, 3:30 a.m., complaining about everything. Said, remember the DOJ is running the local Manhattan DA's prosecution. They just don't want their fingerprints on it. They placed the top person in the office. Then he went on to hit after Stormy Daniels. I won a federal lawsuit for almost $500,000 against Stormy Horseface Daniels. Never had an affair with her. Would have never wanted to. That's not very nice. She doesn't have a horse face, is she? I mean, I've seen a horse face. That's not one that sticks out.
I wouldn't describe that. That would not have been my first.
What would have been your first insult?
He's a porn star.
Right.
Like that to me is enough of
enough of a slight, isn't it? Yeah.
But he'll take the attractive one, I think is what he's saying. Which, I don't know. The big story that we will continue to follow that broke just as we started the show, as a matter of fact, is out of Nashville. Police, fire, and members of the ATF office there in Nashville are at the scene of, okay, here it is again, active aggressor at the Covenant School. Sources have said that 3 children were shot. No word on the state of their injuries at this time, but down and dead at that school.
This is Covenant Presbyterian Church there in Nashville. This school teaches preschool through 6th grade. And yes, the reports are the shooter has been killed and that the death toll,
ABC just confirmed 3 children were killed.
Okay, so the 3 children and the shooter was, I'm assuming, also a fellow student there.
The reunification area established at a nearby church, the Woodmont Baptist Church. This school that we're talking about, Covenant, is a private Christian school in Nashville. Last year, the school ran an active shooter training program, which is not unusual since most schools have recently. A portion of the street that leads up to this is currently like on the top of a small hill, currently closed. Police and emergency officials have been responding there.
Now, if there are 4 children killed, 3 and the shooter, you got to believe there's injuries too.
Yeah, it would be unusual if there weren't.
Right.
So a couple statements are coming from politicians. It's not worth reading those simply because you know what they're going to say. But again, 3 children shot, apparently killed, and the shooter is also killed at the Covenant School just outside, southwest of downtown Nashville.
The protests continue in France, where they are pushing to push the legal retirement age from 62 to 64. Big deal to the French. There have been several days of strikes and protests. They're setting places on fire.
Yeah, and by the way, they don't protest like, I mean, listen, the LA Unified protest that we saw last week was sizable, and it impacted a whole lot of people. When you strike in France, everybody strikes.
The children,
they call out every, and they all protest. But so they're dealing with this tension issue. And then Macron unilaterally decided that the retirement age is going to go from 62 to 64. In Israel, they're dealing with different kinds of protests. In France today, tens of thousands of people were demonstrating outside of Israeli parliament. Workers launched a nationwide strike also. Not a nationwide strike. And this is all because Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wants to overhaul the judiciary. Just before we started the show, it was announced that the government had reached an agreement to pause the change. But think about this. Flights from the main international airport were grounded. Malls and universities around Israel shut their doors. This largest trade union called for 800,000 members to strike in health fields, transit, banking, and other fields. Diplomats walked off their jobs at foreign missions. Local governments closed preschools that they run and cut other services. The main doctors union also announced that its members were striking. This is a one sector or one business.
Oh, this is flicking me off. We look at the latest out of Nashville. We do understand 3 children have been killed. The shooter as well as Covenant Presbyterian School. Preschool through 6th grade is what we're dealing with. Witnesses say they saw several students running and crying from the scene. We will have all the latest 20%.
Carrying Family will continue. Jennifer Jones is live in the KFI 24-hour newsroom.
And that is what we're keeping an eye on. So at least 3 kids were killed after what they're calling an active shooting or aggressor event at the school in Nashville this morning. The Covenant Presbyterian School is a preschool through 6th grade. Police are confirming that the shooter is dead, although they're not saying if he shot himself or if he was shot by the cops. Parents can be seen rushing to the scene and are being instructed to pick up their kids at a nearby reunification center. Again, 3 kids were killed after an active shooting this morning outside the middle school in Nashville. We'll get a look at your drive with KFI in the sky, your SoCal weather from KFI. It's a mostly gray day ahead. Highs will just be in the mid-60s. This report is brought to you by Azusa Pacific University. Let's look at your drive. spot this time on the 210.
So this is going down for a time to eastbound side before the 151 Glendora. But before Grand, actually you can even get those delays off from 57 and from G-Mix out of the Glendora area. In stretches you can make right back both past G-Man and the 134, and the 10 West is an alternate. The 210 West on, not too bad. It's kind of busy. People on the park from South Boulevard Boulevard. If you're on the 605, you can move right into Monty. Stay if I'm the sky up, get there faster. I'm Italian, please.
This report.
Yes, Grandma, let's book it.
The Catalina Island, where adventure awaits you.
Whether it's an exhilarating flight on the zipline eco tour, a chance to spot a bison on the bison expedition, or cocktails at the Scanso Beach Club, there's something for everyone. Learn today at visitCatalinaIsland.com. U.S. Bank difference. Number one in customer satisfaction with retail banking in California by J.D. Power. California and Californians everywhere. And stay smarter.
Those are televised. Sorry. Yeah, that was short stuff. I love my music, tell stories. Music, my love language. And I'm a story. Alright, are you done?
To celebrate the songs and artists you've loved over the past year.
2023.
Oh my god, look at this movie. Rosie.
And performances by iHeart Outside of Order Civilian, Coldplay, Tony Clarkson, LL Cool J.
What up, Westside? What happened here?
I need to
What's your order?
tonight at 8 p.m.
The cop says, you don't want to pull you over. And if we have driving alone in the dynamite, they said, if you tell me the truth on why you're doing that, I won't let you take it off. You want to feel like a legitimate excuse on why I'm doing that. Here's my honest answer. The Tim Conway Jr. show. There's less stopping and starting in the diamond lane, so it's easier for me to text people while I'm driving. Live 4 to 7 p.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
People aren't gonna like that joke. People have super eyes and texting driving. And that's I don't know what Neil Cervaser does all day, and this Bertolucci bitch, and Little is always on fucking vacation, just himself off. All these people suck dick because nobody's listening to them. Like, hey guys, can't we have something in the system that's like, hey, we played this song like the same day, the same morning, within like a few hours. We don't play it. Assholes. Assholes are running the fucking world.
And what? And the truth and the other.
Where did that thing come from?
I have no idea. We spent a lot of time last week talking about chatbots and ChatGPT and artificial intelligence. A new research paper out of the University of Pennsylvania says that as many as 80% of the U.S. workforce, every single sector, 80% of the U.S. workforce could have at least 10% of their work tasks affected by the introduction of ChatGPT. 19% of those workers could have at least half of their duties impacted by GPT. Researchers also found that the higher income jobs will likely have greater exposure to GPT, but that it will span across almost all industries.
The breaking news this morning, unfortunately, comes to us from Nashville, Tennessee, where there was a shooting at the Covenant Presbyterian Church there in Nashville. This is a preschool through 6th grade campus. The early reports have 4 people dead, 3 children. The shooter is a fellow student who do not know. There was a local reporter there at News Channel 5 in Nashville, a reporter named Hannah McDonald, and she was talking on camera about how her mother-in-law worked at the school's front grade and was coming back to her post when she heard gunshots coming from inside the building.
Yeah, I was listening to that same report. This active shooter training drill that were run by a former Nashville Metro Police Department official, and said it was unnerving because of the age of the kids that they're talking about. This kid is in elementary school, so the oldest there are sixth graders, and that you're talking about 10, 11-year-olds, maybe 12. They're still very, very young children.
Now they have multiple patients, as we mentioned. At least 3 kids killed. The shooter as well when officers showed up and engaged the shooter, as we're hearing. But as we pointed out, if you've got 3 children killed, you've probably got injuries as well.
According to Vanderbilt University, they're probably the nearest trauma center there. 3 children were shot. They were transported to the Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, but we haven't seen anything about the injuries, if they're being treated, to see if they are going to other hospitals or what.
I remember seeing images out of Columbine and how alarming those were to see teenagers. They're about the same age as I was back then. Just seeing teenagers walking out of that school and being let out of that school. Like I'm watching the footage right now of these tiny kids, these tiny humans, leaving the campus in a single file line, and it's gut-wrenching.
They have set up a place where you can meet the kids, those that are being taken out of the school. There's a couple of pictures, in fact. The Associated Press has a picture of enforcement vehicles with their red and blue lights flashing, and one officer leading, it looks like maybe a dozen kids, all of them hand in hand, staying together across the street, away from the school, followed by teachers. I mean, these are the images that are just unbelievable. Again, we don't know anything about a suspect at this point, other than that it was a single person. We don't know if it was a child, if it was kids like this.
The law enforcement presence is bananas. I mean, all hands on deck. Every single emergency vehicle looks like it's at this location here. As you can see, parents starting to trickle into the scene. Some of them running towards the scene.
A couple different places that we're trying to find out information. Obviously, Nashville's a big enough city; it's got plenty of television stations and stuff, but they're not getting a whole lot of information out. We also haven't heard anything about an update in terms of the potential for law enforcement and maybe even school officials to come out and explain what they know is going on. But the school itself, again, Covenant School, is in Nashville. It's sort of south, and it's sort of in the Stewart Glen neighborhood, Burton Valley area of Nashville there. And it's not far off of a couple of the main roads there, so it would be easy to get into and out of if there was any plan for this person to get out of there. That obviously didn't take place.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, think about the police who responded to this. Again, it's preschool through 6th grade. Assuming the shooter is a student, talking about 4 years old to 11 years old, and the police department showing up, engaging that shooter, killing that kid. Like, if you're one of those officers, how do you...
I feel like because if it was a kid, if it was a young enough kid, that's an unusual enough situation that I think that would be hard to keep under wraps. That's why I'm not jumping to the idea.
I'm not either, but I'm saying if it was, could you imagine being a responding officer turning up and seeing, if it was a kid holding a weapon, killing other kids? I know it's the reality. I know that kid in Virginia, the 6-year-old, shot his teacher.
Yeah.
Turning up to a scene like that, seeing dead kids and an armed, and I know it's not fantasy. I know that this is where we're living right now, unfortunately. This happens. Kids arm themselves and create carnage. It's just, I don't know what it would be like to be a responding officer in that situation.
Well, even if, you're talking about a small kid, if in fact it was somebody like that. But even if you're a respondent, they have been already seen parents and onlookers that have gathered in this parking lot of Covenant School outside of Nashville. The suspect in this shooting, again, was engaged by police, and the police have said that they did kill the shooter there at the school. the Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Those kids were transported to Monroe Correll Junior Children's Hospital there at Vanderbilt. All of this happened at about 10:30. It would have been 10:30 Nashville time. They're 2 hours ahead of us, so it would have been about 8:30 our time.
I just have a hard time wrapping my head around, because I think you're right that if it was a student that was the shooter, it would be hard to keep that secret at this point. But in what world does an adult still
Instead of going to deliver this fucking Big Mac meal, I'm gonna fucking get a fucking elementary.
like it's not an adult such as 18 to 26-year-old or whatever,
Big
comes
Mac
back
muffin.
to school or has to do a personal
But the idea that you would target the police for whatever reason, I mean, it's because you had a problem with,
Yeah,
we've seen it locally here. Somebody goes to a school, an elementary school specifically, but it's because of it's an issue between the adults. Ex-husband of a teacher or something like that is trying to get, some sort of get back at her for whatever reason. But everything. That's one of that's an option. School of you, just in terms of, we know it's elementary.
It's small. It seems like, it's a Presbyterian school.
It's not a big facility.
No.
They arrive, they'll be taken to the sanctuary individually so that they can reunite with their parents there. American police officers said, I know this is probably the worst day of everyone's lives. Parents have lined up at Woodmont Baptist Church, also nearby. That's sort of the reunification place that they have announced. The mayor is on the scene already in the sanctuary, passing out bottled water to parents and family members who have been waiting. The officials said that the kids will be showing up. The kids from Covenant will be showing up to this Woodmont Baptist Church in Foster here in the next few minutes or so. So,
Why is this our issue?
I don't know if we have enough time between now and.
I know we talk about it all the time, but
again,
it's singular right now to America.
I don't get it.
We have one last week.
All right, when we come back again, we'll keep an eye on this. The school shooting at an elementary school just outside of Nashville. Gary and Shannon will continue after this. KOST,
Los Angeles and County. Have been shot and killed at a private Christian school in Nashville, as Gary and Shannon were talking about. The Metro Nashville Police Department says the shooter was killed by police. The Covenant School's website says it has about 200 students enrolled from preschool through 6th grade. Police say there is no current threat to public safety. Students are being reunited with their parents at a Baptist church 2 miles away from the school. As soon as we get more information, we'll bring it to you. At least 9 people have been displaced because of a landslide in Pacific Palisades. 3 of those people live in a home below the slide. That home was crashed into by part of the 20,000 square foot sheet of hill that sloughed off. The other person lives in a home on top of the slide. He says he found cracks in his backyard yesterday that continue to grow. And that's when the first one put me to leave. He was like 6 7 feet per him. Officials say the landslide last night was a he was like 6 7 feet per him. Officials say the landslide last night was a slough off, which involves the top layers of soil. No injuries were reported. In Pacific Palisades, like Crowley say if I need it. News was brought to you by Sunlight. Police in Westminster are looking for 2 men involved in an armed home invasion robbery. Two subjects that entered the house of smashing a wrist wire. Westminster Police
have
in McCormick says
upload, download speed, and signal strength, but instead we have 1 bar, 2 bars, 3 bars, or 4 bars. Period.
The victims do not have a safe, do not have any money at their house. The 2 men, both wearing dark hoodies last night, forced the homeowners to help them search. And when no safe was found, the men in the shovel drove out. Investigators are searching for surveillance footage looking for a light-colored four-door sedan in Westminster, North and Carson, KFI News. An explosion at a chocolate factory in Pennsylvania has killed 7 people. That includes 2 people who had been reported missing after the explosion Friday. West ROTHSCHILD Samantha Cage says their bodies were found yesterday. The question now itself now is moving over into the investigation period, so hopefully we'll have more answers on what caused it and how it happened and how it can be prevented Saturday.
At least 26 people have been killed during tornadoes that ripped through the towns of Mississippi and Alabama. The National Weather Service says the tornado that hit Mississippi Friday was an tornado touchdown early Saturday, cutting off small villages. The tornado yesterday in Georgia destroyed 80 to 100 homes and caused several injuries. Israel's National Itamar Ben-Gvir says the government has agreed to delay action on the overhaul until the parliament's summer session. The announcement comes after tens of thousands of Israelis demonstrated outside parliament in protest against the proposed overhaul. UN's Atomic Energy Chief has warned Ukraine's President Zelensky that the perilous situation at Europe's largest nuclear plant is not getting any better. He says fighting in the area puts the facility at risk of a nuclear disaster. And again, our top story this morning, at least three kids
Apple
have
is sitting on
at a private Christian school in Nashville.
a mountain of
Nashville Police Department says the shooter was killed by
technological data.
The Covenant School's website says about 200 kids enrolled there from preschool through 6th grade, and at this point, the cops say there is no threat to public safety. Getting a look at your KFI financial update brought to you by Jacoby and Myers. The Dow is up 219, S&P is up 8, NASDAQ is down 62, and the average price of a gallon of unleaded gas in California is $4.82. Don't wait.
Tim Cook launched the iPhone 14.
Call Jacoby and Myers now. Listen for you since 1972. Look out weather from KFI. We've got clouds coming in this afternoon into tomorrow. Our first chance of rain comes tomorrow night. Heavy rain. The drive with DKFI in the sky. Those problems continue downtown LA on the 10.
As we get eastbound before San Jose, there's the two middle lanes of the Bonfire Way, and that's why you're seeing especially heavy drive right now. On the east side of the 10, you're going away from almost right back into 110. West on 10, before going for you coming off the 60. And you'll see stretches of going on the 10 West St. Monitor.
Instead of putting things on a phone that might actually help, like radar detectors, radios, laser thermometers, improved gyroscopes.
Southbound side of the 710 at the 91. Three reports of a couple of cars in the pictures that got into it. That's been cleared to the right. So the still going 47 southbound. And as you leave the 105 heading for the 91 and now the orange stands for issues for you. On the westbound side of the 91, there's a heavy stretches of going for you as far back as you were standing here over on the boulevard, leaving you over on that as you continue all the way toward you. So guys, keep out and underway for you heading into the midday. Okay, if I'm the side of particular faster, I'm just calling it. Hey, if you start clean and healthy water is essential for living your best life. Life Source is the whole house water system that will change that life. Life Source gives you filtered and delicious water from every tap, filtering out the bad, keeping the good, no maintenance needed. And right now, new customers can get a free Applecure antibacterial filter with qualifying purchase. That's an $825 value. So call Life Source today at 800-803-2696 or go to lifesourcewater.com. Life Source, taste and feel the difference. Whether you're just starting your watch collection or expanding it, check out Boss Watches for one of the largest and finest selection of pre-owned, modern, and vintage luxury watches. Rolex, Omega, Cartier, Tudor, they have them all. Buy, sell, trade. All orders get free on online luxury timepiece marketplace for men and women, and now $200 off. Google Boss Watches and bill handle. Click at the top to get your discount.
Do you find yourself stuck in timeshare? Who's a real fact about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation? Justin Powell, founder of Rented Financial Group, is your largest
Apple Watch is terribly designed and underpowered. Period. They should call it the iWatch.
Call now and get the timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call in under 85-3300. That's 885-3300. Termite problems? Search PacificCoastTermite.com.
You should be able to FaceTime using your iWatch.
More stimulating talk.
And I like radio station.
back on this Monday, March 27th, 2023. We have better news to bring you today, but unfortunately we are watching the situation unfold in Nashville, where an active shooter event has happened at the Covenant Presbyterian Church School. This is a preschool to sixth grade school. We are hearing that 3 children have been killed, an unknown number of people injured. The shooter was engaged by responding officers and has been killed.
Apple has been sitting on the technology to put the G5
and the end of our show today. And continue. When we do see anything in terms of a news conference, we'll definitely bring it to you live. Again, the Nashville Police Department does say that the school shooting took place. It is said 3 children were killed, and there is also a report of 2 adults that were killed, but we don't know if one of them may have been the shooter or somebody else that may have been involved.
Nashville, by default, should have 5 or 10 terabytes.
Whose kids are going to that school, or for anybody who knows anybody who works at that school.
Called into the church or I thought they were involved. And then they were thrown in the police. And then the ambulances started. And that's when I had heard there was a school.
They are always underpowered.
I don't know how to get it. So, you never know. Yeah, this is my daughter. And, you know, and we also said Nashville has unfortunately been target probably, and nothing's happened here of this nature, and it's here now. It's here now.
And you can hear it in their voices, like that like animal, safe emotion of
You can't talk through that.
no,
You can tell people clearly.
right.
It sounds like, my understanding is she doesn't even have a shooting test. But you know the fact that that's her name.
Think about these little children. It's just ABC News is just reporting 3 kids, 2 adults were killed.
Yeah, Vanderbilt University Medical Center confirms that those 2 adults killed in the shooting. There is a nearby church, a Baptist church up the street that has been used as a reunification spot, and if parents have been told to use that area to use their students in school, and they're going to start busing them over as soon as they can.
You just wonder if those kids, if this was a dispute between adults, if those kids were collateral damage.
So we've been in the break here trying to pay attention to a couple different sources from there in Nashville regarding what's going on. And there was a former active shooter teacher, basically, an active shooter situation instructor, who on the phone with one of the television stations was asked, how do you get into a place like this? Well, it's not a public school. It's a private school, so they are not under the same rules necessarily as others might be in terms of the type of safety equipment that's available or the type of safety equipment that they deem necessary. So there's that. And he also referred to how you get, if you're familiar to someone at the front desk, or you're familiar face as a parent or one of the members of the staff or the faculty there, there's a possibility that you're able to walk in unimpeded. Whether you're displaying a gun or not, no one's going to question, Bob, Bob's been here over for years. Something like that. I mean, that may be an explanation of how somebody gets a weapon onto a kid.
Now, I don't know anything about this school, but when you see something called Covenant Presbyterian School, you think of a tight-knit, smaller school. Not that it makes it any less heartbreaking when it's at a public school, but that it's more of an intimate setting. Chances are it's not one of those impersonal places where maybe you didn't know who it was. Everyone knows everybody at these schools. All the families know all the families at these schools.
I was able to find out that there are just over 200. 200 is kind of the limit number of students that are enrolled there. About 204, I think, is the last count. 30 full-time teachers, part-time teachers. The student-teacher ratio is now 6 to 1. And those from PK, from pre-kindergarten, all the way up through 6th grade. So just in terms of the kinds of the ages of the kids that we're talking about here. The law enforcement agencies from around Nashville, federal, state, local, are all on the scene there. The ATF office there in Nashville has sent dozens of agents to the Covenant School there just southwest of downtown Nashville. The 3 kids killed, 2 adults killed, according to Vanderbilt University Medical Center. And at this point, again, according to Nashville police, the shooter is one of the people who was killed, but we don't know if that is included in the count that Vanderbilt University Medical Center gave us a short time ago.
We are awaiting a press conference, as you can imagine. I don't think it's going to be imminent, just because there's going to be a lot of logistical things that need to go on in terms of getting these kids to their parents and taking care of the injured. And early on with these stories, you just don't know. You're just trying to get people help as much as possible. So you may not have a lot of answers as quickly as you want them. There were reports from local hospitals there that there were a number of ambulances showing up. So we will bring all the details as we get them.
This will be our big story. We'll continue in just a moment. More on all of this. Jennifer Dosley, live in the AFI 24-hour newsroom.
At least 3 kids and 2 adults have been shot and killed at a private Christian school in Nashville. Police believe the shooter is dead. This is the Metro Nashville Police Department reporting that the shooting took place at Covenant School, which, as Gary said, has about 200 students enrolled from preschool through 6th grade. At least keep saying there is no current threat to public safety. We are awaiting a news conference any moment now. Students are being reunited with their parents at a Baptist church about 2 miles away from the school. Here's SoCal weather from KFI. Calls for a partly cloudy day ahead. High will be in the low to mid 60s. This report is brought to you by
the 91 gun earlier has been cleared from lanes. Not too crazy bad, although in the backup, Senator northbound, rather, he's going to be put going in the 105. He's southbound on the 710.
Here's my complete answer.
There's the money. Short delay sticking around further southbound for Will on the northbound side of the 710. Going out of downtown Long Beach, in the Port of Long Beach, the 405 is definitely still going through there. And seeing delays again approaching the 91. So if I'm trying to get there faster, I'm just following you. This report is sponsored by BlindShirt.com. Hi, I'm Kyle at BlindShirt.com. Shopping for new blinds? At BlindShirt, we offer over 50 different blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices, custom made for your windows, and shipping is free. Shop at home and over 10 free samples of any product before you buy. BlindShirt.com. Hey, it's you, Sharp. If you're planning on going solar, listen up. The state has changed the way your solar systems get reimbursed for the power they produce. And things not in your favor. Fortunately, there's a grandfathering period to lock in the current rates, but time is running out. The deadline is April 14th. So how do you do that? You start by calling Sunlight.
I will also put my response
It's okay. Sunlight will help you get your solar
number 5.
filed. There is no time to wait. Go to
But
sunlight.com.
I wanted to make sure you got it wrong.
TSLB 130.
As it's taking a while for our
Also, March 29th to April 2nd at the One Beach Convention Center, presented by Progressive. Join us as the industry celebrates 75 years of
Firstly, the iPhone battery sucks. In 2005, my phone would last on one charge.
Racing ducks, archery, axe throwing, airgun races, kids crafting, summer tour, full day of family fun. The Smart Hole Show, March 29th to April 2nd at the One Beach Convention Center. Go to holoshows.com. Shop Springfest at Lowe's today and save big on select major appliances. Get an additional $100 off select laundry fairs when you spend $1,296 or more. Valid through 4/12, select and various allocations. While supplies last. Exclusive apply. See Lowe's.com for details. No, they're not going to normalize it. No, they're strictly building people right now.
I hate how these CEOs are so worried about corporate culture and other bullshit, and they don't work on the actual technology.
Honestly, nothing fast is more important. Live 1 to 4 p.m. on KFI. And on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Live everywhere on the Radio app. Breaking news this morning out of Nashville, Tennessee, at least 3 children and 2 adults have been killed after an active shooting event at a middle school there in Nashville. The Covenant Presbyterian School, the preschool through 6th grade campus. Vanderbilt University Med Center confirmed the child death. Multiple outlets have confirmed the adult death. At this point, we do not know about injuries. We've seen no number when it comes to the amount of people who may have been injured. But you've got to believe that 5 people have been killed, but there are injuries.
That is the unfortunate part about this, is that in a situation like this, there's so much going on. I mean, you mentioned the idea of us having a youth conference. At some point, we will, and obviously we will bring it to you live when we get it. The Nashville Police Department has said that they will try to put one together as quickly as possible, but there's so much going on right now, especially if there are still literally wounded kids in that school that they're trying to take care of. And then to get 200 plus kids, couple staff members, 1,000 staff members, whatever it is, from the school over to the other church down the street, the Baptist church that has become sort of the reunification spot for that. So it's going to take some time. And then just simply to get the basic information that's being gathered right now. Simply to get the basic information that's being gathered right now. I'm just still first to get an idea of where everything is now in terms of familiar to me. If you've heard of the Bluebird Cafe, for example, well-known music spot sort of southwest Nashville, this Covenant School is not too far away from that. It's farther south.
Apple spot there.
About 200 kids enrolled. They said
from entering the U.S. market because they knew that Huawei phones were superior.
Staff members, part-time and full-time teachers, and you've got administrators and potential other staff members, whether they work in the lunchrooms, etc. But a relatively small school, at least in terms of what we would consider a public school, and you could obviously do a private school.
I just got killed. I'm watching footage of the kids being escorted from the school, and they are so tiny, and they are holding them on and on as they are hurriedly running across the street. Again, linked up hand in hand, and they look to be about 7, and it's just going.
The Vanderbilt University Medical Center is the closest big trauma center to them. UNC confirmed that 3 students and the tutor have been killed. The UNC also confirmed that 2 adults were killed. But again, we're not certain that, if that's conflicting or if that's overlapping. If the tutor is considered one of the adults or possibly one of the students, we don't know. A shooting unification area, like we said, has been set up by the fire department nearby.
I want you to envision the 405 to 101 interchange, because that's what this street looks like in Nashville. You were just there, you know that traffic's not like a thing there. It's something like just there, you know that traffic's not like a thing there. It's something right now outside the schools. You can imagine parents dropping whatever is on the school, doing it, or stopped coming from the second level. They immediately went to the gunfire. They watched the got to the second level. They saw a shooter, a female, who was firing. The officers engaged her. She was fatally shot by the responding police officers. There was a 5-member team who was on the second floor at that time. 2 individuals from that 5-member team opened fire on the shooter. We know at this point that this shooter is a female. She appears to be in her teens, although her identification has not been confirmed at this juncture. We know that she was armed rifle and a handgun. We are efforting now to identify her. She entered the school through a side entrance and reversed her way from the first floor to the second floor, firing multiple shots. We now know that there are 3 students who were fatally wounded, as well as 3 adults inside the school. We are working to identify those victims.
including the shooter. A total of 7 persons were killed as a result of this morning's incident at the school. By 10:27, the shooter was deceased. The officers had engaged the shooter by 10:27, and he was deceased. Again, I said the first call came in at 10:13 this morning. We'll have more details to give you later in the morning. Chief Drake will be here for the bit. Now things are on International Fire.
Fire department crews are dispatched for active shooter incidents as well, for medical support, but also for an RTF response, which is a rescue passport response. We're right there, but also be there for victims so that we could try life-saving efforts in this case. So we went in as soon as it was safe for our responders to do so, to try to provide life-saving efforts for those that were impacted by this incident and this tragedy. Our crews were able to be on scene to pull out those that had viable signs of life, those that had viable signs of life, those that were still showing the option for to be saved. And we did make transport of 3 individuals, 3 children, and then 2 adults that were taken from the scene. Our crew then set up a reunification unit. That reunification unit is at 2100 Woodmont Boulevard. That's where parents can go to be reunited with their children. All of the remaining kids were able to be escorted out of the building with faculty and staff. We're not sure about the processes that they had in place, but we were on scene to help them mitigate anyone from seeing exactly what else was going on, but we're sure that they heard the chaos that was surrounding this. So we do have mental health specialists and professionals that are at that reunification site for both the students and the families that are going to be affected by this today. To provide buses to make transport from the permanent schools to the reunification site. We had one that carried 74 students and faculty and staff members to the unification site, and additional 34 students. So all of those buses were carried. It was difficult for us to kind of identify who was just there as part of staff for the church versus who was there for the school, because it's all housed in one building. But at this time, we were able to get that number of persons transported out of the building and into that reunification site. So that is where parents can go to be reunited with their students. There is a hotline being set up for parents to call, but right now that is where they should go. I don't know. We're like foreign companies. Additionally, we have musicians set up for on-staff personnel who are working with the Hotel California. And there are there for them as well. There was one police officer that was with a head injury as a result of making an attack on this incident. But other than that, there has been no additional injuries to first responders are responding to this. And as Don mentioned earlier, we will have further updates coming later on.
So on a typical day, there would be about 209 students inside the school and approximately 40 to 50 staff members, about 42 staff members. I'll take just a couple of questions before we go back. Sure. So you started again, and then introduce how many years now? Maybe every previous skill or injuries. I know first responders for it, but an officer had a wound and cut off. Injuries that I'm aware of. Wow. The 3 students are deceased. The staff members who were shot are deceased. That's a total of 6 victims, and then you have the shooter who was engaged by 2 of our police officers, part of the 5-member team, and she is deceased. A total of 7 individuals. There are no other gunshot victims, non-lethal, that I am aware of at present.
before the police engaged with her?
No.
You don't want to have thought anyone after the engaged with her, you know, because there was a school at the house.
We do not know who she is at this juncture. We're trying to identify her. She does appear to be in her team. Again, with 2 assault type rifles versus 1 pistol. No, this is a trip. No, this is a trip. The object is not a trip. One of them here. No, let me go over this again. We have a total of 6 victims. 3 students who are deceased and 3 adult staff members from the school who are deceased. The shooter herself is 7. You know who the 3 adults may be confronted with? I do not. There is video from the school.
How many
we are
female
viewing now.
fucking
Try to
school
learn
shooters do
exactly
you
how
know?
all of this happened.
I don't know my first thing.
We're transported.
What is it?
So we will get that information later.
That's cool. Really? Yeah, the fact that it's a chip is set up for school makes it a diverse thing. And I like more diverse things. I just don't want all white guys who are like between ages of X and Y being all these school shooters. I want other people shooting up schools. It's gonna happen. If it's gonna happen, I'm gonna why? I don't know. I like diversity.
And obviously taking their lives when they have further updates today. Again,
So you're a little happier that it's, well, I'm happier that it's not like
students killed, 3 adults killed.
a random
The
thing.
shooter, they believe, is a female in her teens,
Damn.
armed with at least 3 firearms.
Yeah, 2 rifles and a handgun is what down.
Damn, this bitch has 3 rifles and a handgun. What do you think of that? She's a teen girl. I'm cool with that. I think this is an interesting one now. Really? Name a female school shooter. I'll wait.
This was a woman.
A teenager.
Yeah. That he said,
I've been fucking in the school shooting biz since like 1998. It's always like that one motherfucker that like Georgia Tech who's like Stan Lee or something, and or Virginia Tech, or there's like Bill and Cleveland and other dude and fucking but there's none of this motherfucker.
And just to recap what you've been hearing, 3 kids and 3 faculty members have been killed in a shooting. Faculty members have been killed in a shooting at that middle school in Nashville, Tennessee. The female teen shooter was also killed. That shooting happened at the Covenant Presbyterian School. That's a peaceful, sixth grade school with a student that several students running and flying from the scene. Parents frantically rushing to the school and are being instructed to pick up their kids in nearby unification center. A girl teen shooter was also killed, so a total of 7 people. Some homeowners now were offering 3 luxury cars with the purchase of their homes in an effort to avoid paying a mansion tax on the sale of their property. SDLA will bring a one-time transfer tax to high-end property sales, including a 4% tax on sales above $5 million. The bill is designed to fund homelessness prevention and affordable housing construction. $1.5 million Mulholland is offering the buyer their choice of Aston Martin, Bentley, or McLaren if they pay a full price.
They're
for that bill.
What's 98% of men? So this is a really great, I mean, it's not a great day, but it is a good day for diversity. Why?
More than an hour and definitely
This can happen to
area
anybody.
15 miles long.
I'm very excited about this. Got a female school shooter. I've never heard of that. Name one female school shooter. I'll wait.
Which is the bar she owns and her entire community. We destroyed the tornado. Which is the heart of the
1979. I don't like Monday.
And fans of Taylor Swift are not taking off his bad experience with Ticketmaster or trying to get tickets for split Paris tours in advance to his seat. He wanted to the case, unfortunately. It was a nightmare last fall trying to get tickets. I spent over 10 hours the first day and a couple hours at the Capital One Seats on the second day, both without getting a ticket. I think that's what's like $14,000 card. My card was
That's how short it is.
yeah, a little bit of a disaster.
Like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, they killed it. It was like, no, it's just too much. Reporter got to it.
The way they do business. Southland weather report by sunny, high and loaded with sunny from Metro LA and North County. So it's up to
I don't like my
Valley and the fire. Around 15 Alamo Valley. Right now, 61 is still 64 Rodero Ranch. We're going to a class on the 110 in South LA.
Really?
Slow down for your time and making way north down along the 110 and looks like you're definitely that other direction. Jump on top before you're going on the 110.
But like that was that was fucking 50 years ago, man.
It didn't know what Walmart downtown. Just on time of 101. Still looking pretty slow going for that. Turn us off 405 from the city to city. So the split was a 134, but the stop on the 111 Hollywood into downtown.
Well, today's a big day.
On the boulevard is make way close to 110.
Are you happy about it?
I have to get that faster. I'm in California.
No longer is Britain. That's my son, yeah.
It's always there. When I
We'll get it out. Why?
Little clip there, found a service station unsweeting and ready but she doesn't pass the mother's doorstep step, so never make her fear out. After that, we look clean and professional, and have to be kind and quiet, and they have to treat people with respect. They have to treat people with respect. They have to pass the background check and the drug test. When they do show up, they'll be wearing a clean uniform and a company ID. They'll wear shoes around your home and clean up after they leave.
Next time she's 25, we'll get her out. Really? Yep.
Because I flat out guarantee you, if I would
What?
send them to my mother's
That's good.
doorstep, I would
That's
never.
good. We'll get those kids back.
Our number is 833-777-7777.
Shit I did. And on Monday, you suck dick. Okay, Yoshi. This motherfucker's in town.
Yoshi, that's what it fucking got.
Yoshi.
So you can hear I am 640 live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app.
Oh, that was sick, Yoshi.
So I'm sure you
Yoshi, this motherfucker just pounded.
sad, terrific, terrible story, I should say, where police say it was a female teenager who opened fire inside a middle school in Nashville.
Are you happy with this?
3 students killed, 3 adults killed, the 20-year-old teenage shooter killed, and officers arrived and engaged her. This is a middle school, we're talking pre-K to 6th grade.
John Aaron was the Nashville Police Department spokesman who just a short time ago updated everybody and warning to dropping God that it was a female shooter.
He engaged her. He was fatally shot by the Congress police. There was a 5-member team that was on the second floor at that time. 2 individuals from that 5-member team opened fire on the shooter. We know that this shooter is a female. She appears to be in her teens, although her identification has not been confirmed at this juncture. We know that she was armed with at least 2 assault-type rifles and a handgun. This is so bizarre for a number of reasons. I mean, it should be bizarre to have a school shooting in this country. Unfortunately, we're practiced at reporting this news. But this is used in a couple of ways. Number 1, it's a female. Number 2, it's a female teenager. Number 3, everybody who was shot appears to have been killed. There's no injuries other than a police officer who was injured a hand in the stomach. Something like that.
The 7 people killed, again, the 3 students, 3 staff members, and the shooter. We don't know any of the connections between any of them. If in fact it is a teenage girl that's missing, there is possibility, obviously, in the school returning to a school that he went to.
Right. She knew the school because she made entrance through a side entrance. She didn't walk in the front door. She knew where that side entrance was. So we could judge to the hypothesis that she's either a former student or she's related to somebody who works at the school.
So, with all of that, obviously they have to figure out much more about what's going on. While soon after the news conference ended, one of the reporters was nearby the open microphone to hear her talking to her colleagues there as they're waiting for the next news conference, the next update. She was saying in a very casual way, I actually reported it, but I don't feel comfortable playing footage of it being reported. But instead, I didn't know there were this many costumes in the state.
Oh yeah, I have comments. Oh yeah, no, all hands on deck. Everyone responded to this tool, and they were quick to respond to this shooter. You know, the days of Uvalde and the lessons we learned there have remained fresh on our minds, and if they're fresh on our minds, you better believe they're fresh on law enforcement's minds.
Yeah, one of the other things is, in terms of trying to figure out what we know about this shooter, as we said, it's unusual that she's a female. If she is, in fact, turned out to be a teenager, that would make it that much more unusual. But also that there are very few injuries. I mean, outside obviously the casualties, but outside of the 7 people who were killed, 6 if you don't include the shooter, it almost lends itself to a theory that this was a very targeted thing. I don't know.
But why would you ever target children? I mean, obviously, we're not dealing with somebody who is completely healthy mentally. There's not a lot of rational thoughts that go on when you break it. There's not a lot of rational thoughts that go on when you break into a school with 2 assault-type rifles and a handgun and start shooting the place up. But was she targeting the adults? Was she targeting children and the adults stepped in? Who was the collateral damage? Were they all targets? These are all questions that I believe they're all trying to figure out over there in Nashville. As you heard, this is still what?
A spokesman for Metro Nashville said that the suspect is going to a teenager who leads to a side entrance, like he said, 2 assault rifles and a handgun. She was fatally shot by the police team that went in. It was a 5-member team. There was a question specifically of the spokesperson for police, so I don't know if you would be able to know it this early on, but it was how many people had been shot by the time the police got there. It's important to point out this was a 5-member team. He referenced the 5-member team that went in. How long did they have to wait before they have the numbers to go in? And is that going to be an issue going forward? We've seen many times, like he referenced Uvalde and what we wait for before we go in and engage in shooters like this. We don't wait for anything anymore. That's not what we're supposed to do. That's not the main. That's not the tactic that's involved. But if they all got there at about the same time and they team up and they go in, even if they're not from the same agency, even if they're not all from Metro Nashville Police Department, some of them may be a sheriff's agency, it's a smaller town agency somewhere, they will likely have training together or at least received similar training so that they knew what they were doing and they could move as a 5-member team. This is going to be, unfortunately, one of the deadliest school shootings in the history of Tennessee.
In 1982, 135 mass shootings have been carried out in the U.S. by male shooters. In contrast, only 3 have been carried out by women. I can't remember one. I can't remember a female mass shooter.
I can't, especially not especially, I should say, a school setting like this. School like church setting. Here's the other option here. I mean, we're concentrating on the fact that this is an elementary school because the church runs the school there financially. There's a possibility that the target was not the kids, and I don't mean that obviously they were, but also that the target this person's he's just a perfect seller. We don't know that. They said that this school shooting is going to be the fifth in the Nashville area since 2011, but there hasn't been a school shooting where shooting at a school in Nashville, and that was referenced by some of the people that we heard gather around nearby, saying that they are so lucky to this point that Nashville has not been the school one of these types of events.
In 2019, near Denver, has 10 school highlands rents. Two suspects opened fire using handguns into classrooms. One was an 18-year-old male, the other a female. Suspect in conjunction with the male. Our own female shooter.
Very unusual.
Yeah.
So, this is not a confirmed as a female. Okay. So they have confirmed that she was a female, but and that they police have said she appears to be a teenager. If these reports that they know they're unless they know that they're kids, were upset, had access to guns, they can't look, they're not responding to phone calls, their last location was in this nearby area. It's going to take something like that when you fully know that they're actually
The only operation is why 15 Maurice will open fire at that holiday party, remember? 14 people, but again, not alone, it's just odd. We'll stay on top of this and all the details will keep that here on Turning Channel.
Deborah Martin is live in the KFI 24 hour.
Keep that here on Turning Channel.
Deborah Martin is live in the KFI 24 hour news.
And as you've been hearing, 3 kids and 3 adults have been killed in a school shooting at a middle school in Nashville, Tennessee. And it took firefighters more than an hour last night to put it out. They were able to see this and spread into other buildings. No one was hurt. It's not clear what started the fire. 2 police officers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, have been killed in a helicopter crash. The helicopter went down in the sugarcane field early yesterday. The crew had been part of a pursuit at the time of the crash. Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy, highs mid-50s to mid-70s. This report brought to you by MGM Rewards. From the Southern California Toyota dealers throughout the center of Bill places, we're going to Japan in downtown LA.
Before Kansas Bay is the kind of awesome back shoulder. Listen to what little in Concrete, though, on the eastbound side of the San Fernando City from almost as far back as about Western. And then you come sort of in South LA on the 110 southbound, the fourth block, and actually the 3 left lanes down. That's how you see especially when you drive on the 110 southbound, coming out of the top of the convenience out to stay in the Dayton area. The local on drive for you from Walmart as far back as 5. Through South LA 110 northbound, and you start 140 drive Country Boulevard, and you the first block then. So if I'm a channel super faster, I'm your calling your team. Understanding that an overgrown, unusable outdoor space, let System Favors destroy it for you. And this month, System Favors will demolish, dig up, and haul away your shaded, neglected patios, walkways, driveways, and overgrown backyards for free, and will replace them with your outdoor space of your dreams. Dramatic driveways, built-in fire pits, stunning outdoor kitchens, share-worthy patios, and more. For 30 years, System Favors has helped more than 3,000 homeowners transform their homes to beautiful, durable, and high-quality outdoor remodels, and you can do this. Contact us today to take advantage of our most popular offer, free demolition and removal. Plus, get 0% financing options. Get started today by calling System Favors at 800-PAY-004 or visit systempavers.com to get inspired. That's 800-PAY-004 or systempavers.com. All other customers are 31st financial certificate approval. See website for offer and financial details. Contact us license 661-575.
This report is sponsored by Catalina Island Company. Get the mainland, head area, and stay up with Catalina Island where adventure awaits you. Whether it's an exhilarating flight on the zipline eco tour, a chance to celebration on the Viking expedition, or cocktail up at the Santo Beach Club, there's something for everyone. Plan today at visitCatalinaIsland.com.
Hey, Alex, are you running out of hot water? Water Heaters Only has been specializing in the repair and replacement of water heaters since 1968. That's over 54 years as the original water heater specialist. So visit waterheatersonly.com for 0% financing, terms and conditions apply, request quick service, or call to speak with a live operator 24 hours a day. Don't wait, don't overpay. Visit waterheatersonly.com today. That's waterheatersonly.com.
Hey, it's Jennifer. Join us this March to make March Matter for Children's Hospital Los Angeles. Every time you stop by or attend an event at a participating partner, they'll donate funds to support Children's Hospital Los Angeles. For more information, visit MakeMarchMatter.org. That's MakeMarchMatter.org.
Of course, your favorite station is on a free iHeartRadio app. Take a trip anywhere and listen anytime. Plus, get thousands of other stations and playlists all free. Download our free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. In your ear. Follow us now. Victoria.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Well, our big story, unfortunately, today is this shooting at a church-run elementary school just outside of Nashville. 7 people killed, including the shooter, which, in a very unusual twist, appears to be a woman and maybe a teenager. They obviously know that it's female based on what Nashville PD has said, but John Aaron, the spokesperson, said it appears that she was young and may have been a teen. There were three students who were killed, either in other ages or grade level yet, but we know the school goes from pre-kindergarten up to 6th grade, so you can imagine they're not going to be much older than 12. 3 staff members also killed. We don't know if they were teachers, administrators, but the shooter used a side door at that church school to get into the 2nd floor, where eventually he was shot and killed by a team of officers that they sent out. He was armed with at least 2 rifles, apparently with a handgun. We don't know which one he used.
There was a woman who jumped in front of the microphone after the official four-gun update and reporters on the situation, and she just went off. Are you tired of being here? What are we doing in this country? Why does this keep happening? Obviously, a family member or somebody in the community who's just, I don't know if she's a professional lobbyist that happened to be there, but obviously just very upset with the state of affairs in this country when it comes to people getting their hands on weapons that should not have them.
A lot of times, school shooters are motivated by what they feel is the strange question, right? Whatever flight or series of flight has been made against them, and that they have been victimized by the system, the schools, bullies, whatever. I mean, they feel like this is their way to strike back. The idea that this is a woman that did this is kind of blowing my mind right now, because I mean, we've unfortunately done horrific, heartbreaking stories where some guy thinks the way to get back at his wife or his ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend or whatever is to take it out on the kid. And that, I'm not saying I understand it, but it's a common thread through a lot of those stories. I cannot figure out what a woman would have been doing targeting children. I'm assuming that they were targeted if others were not in there.
We talked about it yesterday, sometime this week, Friday, that it's an option on the table now, I think is the way that you said it. That when we were teenagers, you would never think to arm yourself and use that to get back to whatever flight you feel came upon you.
And are there more guns now than there were, like a ratio-wise, are there more guns now than there were 100 years ago, 50 years ago?
Well, like when we were, I don't know, because we grew up in an area where there was a lot of people guns.
That's what I mean. I don't necessarily think it's that part of it. It's not like everybody, it's not like 50 years ago there was one gun for every 50 people.
Well, you think about, girls and boys at that age that teenage hormones are out of freaking control. And if that's an option on the table because it is so common for these school shootings to happen, then it was only a matter of time until we had a female teenage.
On Aaron, spokesperson for Nashville Nashville Police, public affairs director, took to the microphones and answered some of the questions from reporters.
So on a typical day, there would be about 209 students inside the school. And I'll take just a couple of questions because we will go back here. So you studied that, and then this week of injuries coming in, you could have had a wound from cut glass. That is the only other injury that I'm aware of.
Okay. That is also one of the absolute crazy aspects of this that doesn't make any sense. And it might, if we find out that this girl was targeting somebody specifically.
Maybe it was all in one classroom. Maybe she walked into one classroom and it was all in one classroom. Maybe she walked into one classroom and it was an intimate setting. And again, it was a small school. And she just killed everyone in that room.
Oh, that's fine.
Well,
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's no other real great explanation for it. In this instance. So I mentioned earlier that one of the interviews that local television has done in Nashville was with an instructor for active shooter situations, going into schools and companies and things like that, and helping them figure out how to best defend themselves in the event that something like this is visited upon their life. And he said that one of the ways somebody gets in a situation like this is that they are known by someone who would be in charge, whether it's a security guard, somebody at the front gate, front door, front desk, something like that. That's potentially off the table. I mean, it's likely that this person knew the footprint, like you said, knew the building in some way, whether they were a student there before, they knew somebody who worked there, whatever, because they used a side door to get in.
One of our family members, Jen, texted me and reminded me of the case out of San Diego from 1979, Barbara Spencer. She was the one who shot up Grover Cleveland Elementary School in San Diego, January 1979. Principal, custodian were killed, 8 children and the police officer who responded were injured. She was 16. She lived in a house across the street from the school. Barbara Spencer was her name. She was famously known for saying, "I don't like Mondays. This livens up the day." As to why she committed the crime.
Well, listen, there's no reason why women can't also lose touch with reality and go off. I mean, they're often beaten past for fantasy. There's no reason why. You just don't, and women don't take it out violently all the time on other people, especially on children. It's not a sexist thing to say that.
And you're killing sometimes, and that I can understand, but
this happened again at about 10:15 Nashville time, would have made it about 8:13 our time. The Nashville, Tennessee, the newspaper there, caught up with Ashley Beasley on vacation about a block away from the school when she heard shots. Ashley was at the 4th of July parade in Highland Park, Illinois, when a gunman opened fire on the parade ground. Ran over to the scene off Hillsborough Pike, said to find it spawning with police. He was the one who went to the microphone and screamed, "Aren't you tired?" Now, he continued at the microphone saying, "How are our children still dying and why are we failing them? These shootings, these mass shootings will continue to happen until our lawmakers step up and pass safer gun legislation." A spokesperson for Metro Fire took to the microphone during the news conference and said that rescue crews responded and tried to provide life-saving efforts to those involved. But the only injury, again, crazy if you can think about this, the only injury that we have reported at this point is the police officer who sustained a hand injury as a result of cut glass. So there was also a picture in one of the newspapers there, one of the television stations, taking a picture from inside the nearby church that had become the unification point, there are hundreds of people in there. Hundreds. If you imagine, like the police department said, there's an average of, a little more than 200 kids in that school on any given day. You've got 400, 500 people, families and friends who have shown up to that nearby church that is the unification spot to try to get word on their kids being reunited.
So this was all wild too. A female teenager with 2 assault-style rifles and a pistol. I mean, that just seems like a lot of weight.
Yeah. Yeah, and if he's got some sort of mechanism or a strap to hold
the ammo,
one or both of them, or
I don't know. All right, we'll stay on top of it right here. Come to any channel. Los Angeles, Orange County. Fatal school shooting on Double Mars Live from KFI 24-hour newsroom. 3 kids and 3 adults have been shot and killed at a private Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville Police Department John Aaron, the shooter, who appeared to be a teenage girl, has been killed by police.
We know that he was armed with at least 2 assault-type rifles and a handgun.
Aaron says the shooter entered the school through a side entrance and went from the first floor to the second, firing multiple shots as the police are working to identify the shooter and those who have been shot and killed. State lawmakers in Colorado have been debating gun legislation in response to a school shooting in Denver. The Colorado House of Representatives met in rare session yesterday to give final approval to a bill that would expand the state's red flag law. They also moved closer toward a final vote on a bill to remove legal protections from gun makers. A man has been stabbed to death in Westlake. The LA police, the man was stabbed at 8 and Toronto Ray Street is now dead at the scene. They say he was found lying partially on the sidewalk in the strip mall. While the fire department declared him dead at the scene, the man had been stabbed in the chest. They say he was not homeless and the stabbing did not appear to be gang-related. Police say about 2 hours earlier, another man was stabbed nearby. Some water use restrictions in California have been lifted as a result of all the rain and snow. The state has canceled its request for voluntary 15% water conservation statewide, and it's ending its requirement that local water agencies implement level 2 drought contingency plans. The hosing down the sidewalks and watering ornamental grass on commercial properties is still banned. The federal government has found a buyer for the sale of Silicon Valley Bank, which is key to protect depositors. ABC's Mark Remillard, the FDIC reached an agreement with North Carolina's first Citizens Bank to take on all of Silicon Valley's deposits and loans.
The statement says the transaction includes First Citizen purchasing about $72 billion in assets, and that both the FDIC and First Citizen will share in losses and the potential recovery of loans going forward.
Customers of Silicon Valley Bank will automatically become First Citizen customers. The former SGT branches have reopened today as First Citizen Bank. Israel's national security minister says the country's proposed judicial overhaul has been delayed for at least several weeks. The announcement comes after protests continued in Israel over the planned judicial reforms by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Critics call it the power grab, which they say will weaken the judiciary. Israel's Consul General in New York abruptly resigned from protest. Netanyahu fired his defense minister yesterday as tensions continue to rise in the government and on the street. The KFI financial update is sponsored by Jacoby and Myers Country Attorneys. The gallon is free, and the average price per gallon of regular gas in California is $4.82. Don't wait for you to snag your city. Better from KFI cloudy, highs in the low to mid-70s for Metro LA and Inland Orange County, the 60s to low 70s in San Gabriel and San Fernando Valleys, and the Inland Empire, the 50s to around 60 in the Antelope Valley. Right now, 63 in Orange, 65 in Buena Park, 58 in Flora Hills, and 62 in Terminal. From the Southern California Toyota dealer traffic center, let's go places. We're going to a crash on the 110 in South LA. From the 110 in South LA, Swanson Avenue, that junction was blocking the 2 left lane. It looks like they're doing everything over the right shoulder, but it is still a really heavy line coming away from the 101. And if you're on the 110 northbound, you're going to be getting brakes from, it looks like the 105 up to the 101. Also, we've got a little bit of trouble as well on the 5 south, right at 4th Street. crash was in the second lane from your left, they just got back over to the right shoulder. You're fine southbound, still going to be a slow line. It's coming away from the east. The two, we've got some trouble in East LA and Blacktown Way, Goodman Avenue. They're going to close that far right lane as they do a little bit of tail transport, so you see them flowing in. Anaheim Hills, 91 west side of the Weird Corral, over with the Boulevard, send your stable vehicle making its way into the center divider area. You'll find the sky and help get you there faster. I'm Jim Harmon.
Attention, accredited investors. With some banks failing and the market trending in the wrong direction, the need to hedge against inflation and invest your money in proven high return assets is now. First National Realty Partners has historic returns of 15% IRR from their $1.5 billion in commercial real estate assets. Their relationships with national brands like Walmart, Whole Foods, Publix, and more gives them the advantage over any other real estate investment opportunity. Be smart and invest your money in grocery and commercial real estate with historic returns of 15% IRR. Call them at 888-301-9010. That's 888-301-9010. Or go to snrpradio.com. That's snrpradio.com. You'll enjoy all the benefits of fully passive real estate ownership. Get in on the current deals while they're available. Call 888-301-9010 or go to snrpradio.com now. Securities are only available to verified credit investors. Investors are subject to risk, including offer principal. Distributions are not guaranteed. Any representation by investment facility reflects SNRP strategy and may or may not be realized. Visit snrpradio.com.
Very good. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. We apologize having some technical difficulties here today, but they will get through.
I wanted to go to Nashville. I'm usually following the story of this school shooting at Covenant Presbyterian School. 3 students, 3 adults were killed earlier today. The female shooter, also killed, has now been identified by Metro Nashville Police Department as a 28-year-old woman.
Okay, so originally we heard it was a teenage girl, and now we're learning 28, which means that she's probably a small person.
Young looking, small person, yeah. She entered through the school, through a signed entrance with a couple of assault-style rifles, according to Nashville TV. And a handgun. Officers arrived and entered the school through the first floor and heard shots coming from the second floor, which is why they were able to go upstairs, find her, and put her down. Metro Nashville TV said the responding officers engaged on the second floor and killed her at 10:27. That is it's the first call came in at 10:13. And it was 14 minutes later that they reported that she was down. That's a very, very long time. We said a couple of interesting things about this. Obviously, the most glaring, odd thing about this is that this was a young woman who perpetrated this attack.
She was armed with 2 assault-type rifles and a handgun. This is a lot of heft when it comes to firepower, too.
1, 2, 3 to report. Outside of the obvious deaths that we told you about, the 3 students and 3 staff members. But one officer sustained an injury from broken glass, and according to Metro Nashville TV and the fire department, that's the only injury they have to report.
And it's hard to imagine somebody opening fire with that kind of firepower, right? And they're not being collateral damage. Now, maybe he was targeting the adults, and the kids were collateral damage. It's hard to believe he would be targeting the children. Again, this is a pre-K through 6th grade school. 3 students killed, 3 adults killed, and this shooter, 28-year-old woman. They're still trying to figure out who she is. Now, obviously, they know who she is. They have not released the names.
We're going to have to figure out the motivation for this, why this school, why this, or, and I mentioned this before, I mean, this is a private school run on the grounds of a church. So, what's the target? The school, was it somebody within that group of 6 that eventually was killed? Was it the church itself? And what connection this woman obviously had with any one or all of those?
The images are horrifying, if you can imagine, little 10 humans, 7-year-olds, holding hands as they are moving out of the school, surrounded by every single police unit you can imagine in that into a nearby church to be reunited with their parents. The scene of gridlock. It was, in fact, gridlock. As parents dropped whatever they were doing and raced to the scene. And if you can just imagine sitting in that gridlock trying to get to your child, I can't even imagine that. But the horror of knowing there was a school shooting with your 7-year-old inside has got to be one of those things that just puts you in a state of shock. Police officers with rifles, heavy vests, helmets, still walking around the school parking lot. There was like a glassy perimeter of the building. There's some little areas nearby where you can see some helicopter footage, officers kind of keeping watch there.
This is a very high-profile church as well within that area, and physically and, I guess, and emotionally. And for a lot of people, this is going to be their home church, but it also literally sits on top of a hill in that area. There's 2 big driveways, entrances on either side. It's surrounded by neighborhoods and some shopping areas as well. So it itself sits on a very large property. Very high. It's got huge people on top of it, and I'm sure that if they live in that area, everybody knows exactly where Other Presbyterian Church is. And this is now, unfortunately, the scene of an awful tragedy.
Nashville Mayor John Cooper tweeting, "On a tragic morning, Nashville joined the dreaded long list of communities to experience a school shooting." And I think that we've got to point it out. I mean, we just came back from Nashville. We were there last weekend, and we talked about the people there. And I said, as you were mentioning how friendly everybody is, and I said, yeah, there's no such thing as a stranger in Nashville. Everyone's really nice. And makes me think that we live amongst the a-holes out here in California. Just when you get out to some of these cities. And it's nothing particular to a city, right? Whether it be Nashville or somewhere in Florida or Denver or Aurora or what have you.
And what, there's 4 million people in Metro Nashville. It takes one.
Yeah.
It takes one. And unfortunately, we see that too often. It's that we as people, as neighbors in a community, law enforcement officers simply don't have the ability to find the one that's going to cause this type of destruction. Governor Bill Lee out of Tennessee also said, "I am closely monitoring this type of situation at Covenant, Department of Safety, other state, and patrol and assisting local law enforcement and first responders. As we continue to respond, please join us in praying for the school, the congregation, and the Nashville community." Other Tennessee representatives, state senators will also come out with statements as well as they go through and try to put together what it is that's actually happened here. Again, it looks as if, according to Metro Nashville Police Department, that this was a 28-year-old Nashville woman who entered the school through a side entrance with a couple of rifles and a handgun. The officers were there a short time later, entered the school to the first floor, heard shots coming from the second floor, and that's when they went upstairs and shot her. Now, the original report I saw was that the first call came in at about 10:13. Nashville time, would have been about 8:13 hours. So 10:13 was when the first call came in. It was about 14 minutes later that they reported that she was down at 10:27. So that's a very, very long time.
Which makes me think that it was continuing to class around.
But if she was still shooting 14 minutes later, I mean, they heard her, maybe not 14 minutes, but by the time it took them to get from the first floor to the second floor, take her out. 10 minutes later, that she was still shooting. I don't, whatever kind of scenario happened in that place, we don't know. That would be something we would have to do later, which would be where people were when they were shot, where she was, standing in the doorway if they had entered a room, something like that.
We are awaiting more information. They seem to be on top of it there in Nashville in terms of getting the information out. They said they'd let us know, give us some lead time, and they're going to be providing another update. We, of course, will take you there live when it happens. But again, this is a 28-year-old female shooter burst into this small Presbyterian school there in Nashville. Killed 3 adults, 3 students have been killed. Officers arrived at the her shot and killed her. We don't know her connection to the school. We don't know her connection to the adults or the children in this matter. We just have very few details at this moment.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. There's some other stories we will update as well when we come back. Some of the big stories also in the South, including the tornadoes from over the weekend and some other things. Keep our eyes on it.
Gary and Shannon will continue. Deborah Mark is in the 25-24-hour news. And as you know, Gary and Shannon, the same 3 cases where you go have been killed in the school shooting at a middle school in Nashville, Tennessee. The shooter who was killed by police has been identified as a 28-year-old woman. A tree estimated to be about 1 today has been observed in LA County. Strawberry founded the National Farm Workers Association in 1962 with Soler and Cuesta. Given how offices and libraries are closed, schools are open. They will be closed Friday for the safe observance of Cuba Chavez Day. We're going to go for class number 2 in Atwater Village. Sunnyvale Boulevard, heading into Custer and 5 southbound 4 Tuscan Ranch Road. What about Woodbridge? It's only told if it's really close to that right lane. Also in North 15 north on 2nd Street, disabled vehicle in the Center Rider area. Bloomington and westbound. Before you get to Cedar Avenue, disabled vehicle being cleared to the right shoulder. Heading upward down the Canyon Front from Mountain Avenue. Got a sold out vehicle blocking the right lane. Sorry if I'm sign. I'll put you there faster. I'm getting on that. If you've got joint pain and they're telling you surgery is the best option, please stop what you're doing. Call QC Kinetics.
It's very important. And their folks at QC Kinetics have been using the latest, most advanced regenerative treatments to bring lasting pain relief the natural way.
This harnesses your own body's healing agents to restore and repair damaged tissue in your knees, hips, shoulder, back.
And these precision treatments are done in the office. No drugs and no downtime.
QC Kinetics has hundreds of clinics all over America and thousands of satisfied patients.
If your joints have been aching from arthritis or injury, look beyond steroids and surgery and discover the amazing possibilities with regenerative medicine.
Especially this time of year, you need to be living your life to the fullest, doing the stuff you love to do.
If you can get relief from blood going under the knife, doesn't it make sense to check this out?
QC Kinetics in Glendale, Orange, and Mission Viejo. QC Kinetics, call for a free consultation.
213-997-PAIN. That's 213-997-PAIN. 213-997-PAIN.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing a hat. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Granger, offering professional grade industrial supplies. Plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
The Dell Technologies semi-annual sale starts now with limited quantity deals on select performance PCs powered by 12-pin Intel Core processors.
I am actually starting to see
security features and select latitude
more
laptops with enhanced privacy, collaboration, and connectivity. Save on selected central
viewership, so that is a good thing.
Central financing with no business credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. This is Jacob and Ron. If you've been involved in a motorcycle accident, call 844-24-JACOB.
This report is sponsored by Saints of America. Saints of America has powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses. You can make every move matter. See the Saints of Life 2023. The Hollywood Bowl Create Your Own Packages are on sale now for the summer. Choose 3 or more concerts that suit your taste, schedule, and budget. Get your tickets at HollywoodBowl.com.
TMI AM 640.
And iHeart Radio Station. Live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. woman. He semi-assault-style rifle and a handgun. They're into a school, a security school there, a middle school. It's in for a side door and opened fire. 3 children, 3 adults killed, as well as a 28-year-old female shooter.
We were already dealing with a tragedy from over the weekend. Six kids and 2 adults. 6 kids killed, 2 adults injured in a multi-vehicle crash on Interstate 24 early yesterday morning in Robertson County, Tennessee. So that is something we'll keep our eyes on. A couple of other things just to kind of give you an update of sort of the other things going on. We'll get back to the Nashville story here in a second. The tornado that hit through parts of Mississippi yesterday, late Friday into Saturday, they said carved a path that measured 60 miles. The National Weather Service says less than 1% of tornadoes in the United States travel more than 50 miles. Most of them simply touch and go in different places. This tornado that ran through Mississippi was on the ground for 60 miles, and they said at times the path of destruction was about a mile wide. To give you an idea in all of this. The grand jury in New York is hearing testimony about Donald Trump's role in paying hush money to a porn star heading to a new week. We've been hearing reports from the grand jury, which is otherwise mostly very secretive, that they were going to reconvene today, although we have not yet seen what sort of an agenda they had planned. The grand jury's been weighing this case as well as some other unrelated matters, so they may be talking about that. The agenda for this week is pretty unclear.
Some Taylor Swift fans fighting the good fight in a courtroom today here in Los Angeles over the ticket fiasco that prompted a congressional inquiry. Federal court is hearing the case brought by fans who claim Ticketmaster and its parent company Live Nation violated antitrust and consumer protection laws. The all started after Ticketmaster blocked the initial online sales of her blockbuster concert tour months ago. Fans also said the companies have a monopoly and charged too much.
Entertainment-wise, another story, after Jonathan Majors responded to a 911 call at 11 in the morning on Saturday and determined that Jonathan Majors was involved in a domestic dispute with a 30-year-old woman. Side note, Jonathan Majors is currently in Creed 3. He's also in Ant-Man and Watch Something Quantum Something Something, where he plays Kang, the new villain. Other things. The attorney that represents him said that the woman had already recanted the story, denied any wrongdoing by Jonathan Majors, and according to the lawyer, quote, he's completely innocent and provably the victim of an altercation with a woman he knows. So that's the latest out of some other stuff that's going on.
Again, the news out of Nashville, a female shooter with 2 assault-style rifles, a pistol, killed 3 students, 3 adults at this private Christian school in Nashville. The latest of the series of mass shootings. She was killed after being shot by police following the shooting there at the Covenant School. About 200 students from preschool through 6th grade, about 33 teachers there are listed on the website. We do not know this woman's connection to the school. She was initially described as a teenager, but in fact is 28.
My assumption now, if they know her age, they absolutely know who she is.
Yeah. Now take me through the timeline again.
So the first reports that I saw, referenced a 1013 911 call that would have come in Nashville time, so 1013, about 8:13 hour time. And then, according to Metro Nashville PD, the responding officers showed up within, I don't know the exact time, they haven't said when they arrived on scene, but that the responding officers, a team of 5 of them, got into the school on the first floor and heard shots coming from the second floor. So between 10:13, they eventually called and said that the shooter was down at 10:27. So 14 minutes between the original call and the time that the officer said that she was down.
Now, it sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of things that go on, right? The calls at 10:13, we don't know when they arrive on campus, but they've got to get in there, they've got to hear the shots, they've got to make their way up there, they've got to locate the classroom, they've got to neutralize the shooter, they've got to get any other kids out of there, they've got to start, trying to steal these kids from the carnage. They've got to figure out if these people are alive or dead. Maybe there were life-saving efforts made right away. All of this has to go on before the officers get back on the radio and say, we got her.
I would push back and just say that one of them would say, shooter is down. If he's down, depending on how many times they hit her.
I just don't think that would be a priority. I think the priority would be seeing what you're dealing with in terms of injuries, death, getting other kids out of there, making sure she's the only one. You know, the way the gunfire can sound, the way it ricochets off of different, different rooms and things.
Right.
I think there's just a lot that goes on before they get back on the radio and say, because they already know the backup's coming and they're going to keep coming. How backup's still coming?
Yeah, that's like I said. There was a woman, a reporter, who was standing by after the news conference, and she was saying to her colleagues there, the other reporters, she was amazed. She didn't know that there were that many cops in Tennessee, and they're all on scene at this shooting. ABC has a television station out there. One of their reporters says that this has been just heartbreaking for her to watch from such a close perspective.
Even parents I've spoken to who don't have kids with that school, who have kids at a school nearby, have called me very upset when we didn't know that the shooter had already been taken down. But they're all standing out here as well. Schools nearby are on lockdown. Even schools that are not nearby are on lockdown. I spoke to my daughter's school, and they're on lockdown. It's just something that every parent's nightmare.
And we've also talked before, and actually, friend of the show, if you want to, I don't know if he would consider himself in the show, but Brad Garrett, an ABC News crime terrorism analyst, and he also discussed sort of what happens now in terms of the investigation.
The ATF and FBI tend to respond to all mass shootings now. Common protocol. They work together. They plan these things together. ATF will immediately go to work on whatever weapons we use, where do they come from, how they get them, so forth and so on. The FBI may be able to help quickly if there's any sort of delicate forensic thing to do, or an interview to be done outside the actual metropolitan area.
A quick thing I just noticed on television, two things. Number one, President Biden is expected to make some comments relatively soon. They showed a shot of the open press room there at the White House, so I don't know if you can go to the podium to do that. The other thing is, sources have been telling Fox News that the location of this shooting, specifically within the building, is that it was in a lobby area and was not in a classroom. Now, this early, that could change. But that's a very specific thing.
I want a lobby area be on the second floor.
Open atrium. I mean, lobby may not be the right.
But not in a confined classroom.
Not in a classroom. It is basically what I was taking there. So, and I don't know if that changes the story necessarily. For one thing, it would explain why why it was an isolated number. If it's 10:30 in the morning, Nashville, 10:15 in the morning, Nashville time, you're talking about what you would assume would be the middle of a class period, or, kids would be in class at that time.
But there would be people in the common area.
There could be, and there wouldn't be that many, and maybe that's why, maybe that's the saving grace.
I bet we're going to learn that there were the adults that engaged this woman as soon as she walked in. And you think about a 28-year-old female, you think armed like that? That's obvious.
Two rifles.
You can't hide that on a 28-year-old female. When you think about the Columbine shooters and their trench coats, and you kind of get away with that, but and maybe she was, I don't know what she was wearing or what have you, but when you think about somebody mistaken for a teenager, and you think about a small person, and they're having that kind of firepower would be obvious right away.
That also goes to show you, when we first started talking about this, I referenced the school shooting, active shooter trainee guy, who had said it's possible that someone was recognizable in Nashville. Covenant Presbyterian Church runs an elementary school, and that was the scene of a shooting this morning. It's about 8:15 our time, where a woman, a believed to be 28-year-old woman from Nashville, walked in with a couple of rifles and a handgun, shot and killed 3 students and 3 staff members before she was also shot and killed by a team of police officers that had shown up to the school. So 7 killed, including the shooter. And we're waiting not only for the president to speak, we're also waiting for Nashville Police Department to come back out for another update on the information that they do know.
Sheridan Center will continue. Deborah Marks in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Again, as you've been hearing all morning long, a shooter who fatally shot 3 kids and 3 adults at a private Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee, was a 28-year-old woman. Nashville Police Department John Aaron says the first report of the shooter came in around 10:13 this morning, and he was killed by 10:27 this morning.
She entered the school through a side entrance and traversed her way from the first floor to the second floor, firing multiple shots.
He says the shooter had 2 assault-type rifles and a handgun. Students enrolled at the school range in age from preschool to 5th grade. People in a rural town between Temecula and Hemet say they are being terrorized by wild dogs that have mauled and killed about 300 sheep and goats in the past 3 months. Residents of Anza say the wild dogs also chased a young boy and left 31 animals dead in a raid earlier this month. One man says he was at work last week when his neighbor called to tell him a group of wild dogs attacked his family's livestock. 1 sheep and 30 goats were killed near his home. The man says it was a massacre. Students and workers in the LA School District are back on campus. The unions and the school board considers an agreement to keep the schools open. Tens of thousands of workers went on strike last week to demand better pay, benefits, among other things. LA Mayor Bass announced a tentative deal on Friday. To the 500,000 students of LAUSD and their families, I am so pleased to say that we have reached an agreement on retroactive pay and health benefits. The retroactive pay includes 6% last year. And we can no longer be all that you can be.
The U.S. Army is pulling its new advertising campaign because of the man who stars in it. Pre-3 actor Jonathan Majors was arrested over the weekend for allegedly assaulting a 30-year-old woman in New York City. The Army's latest multi-million-dollar recruiting campaign had Majors narrating ads, overcoming obstacles, and pushing and harassment following a domestic dispute in Chelsea. Majors said he's following a domestic dispute in Chelsea.
Starline weather from KFI, partly cloudy, looking at highs in the low to mid-70s for Metro LA and Inland Orange County, mid-60s to low 70s in the San Gabriel and San Fernando Valley, and the Inland Empire, mid-60s to around 60s for the Antelope Valley. Right now, 65 in Cypress, 65 in Brea. We're going to install on the 5 in Boyle Heights.
On the 5 southbound line of Soto to Cathedral Car in the Center Divider area. And you've already got slow lines due to landscaping work on the 5 south from Gittman down to the 710 back where the right lane is going to be closed. Also on the 5 south at 4th Street, left turn clear to the shoulder. And Diamond Bar 60 west at Grant, left turn clear to the right shoulder. And then Superman up 15 north at Spring Hill, heads up some bales up the Holy O line in the middle lane. Then on 15 north before you get to Glen Helen Parkway, brand new crash in the 2nd lane from your left. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm getting on in.
News live from the Hayes bedroom. It's another eventful night for us. The curious Ron Steve has been struggling with his feedback. His wife, Michelle, is trying to raise the rain. Michelle throws an elbow. He's leaning for the couch. You could get inspired. Absolutely, Bruce. Inspires the sleep apnea treatment that gives you comfortable, restful sleep with the click of a remote. There's no mask and no hose. Just learn more at inspiresleep.com.
Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you and review important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
There's somebody plays hardball, but with Jacoby Myers on this side, you'll level the playing field. With over 50 years of experience, trust Jacoby Myers protects your rights and gets you the compensation you deserve. Call Jacoby Myers, the official law firm of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Homeowners, stop worrying about drinking harmful water. Get a purified whole house water filtration and air conditioning system for sure down and just
Thank you, Alex.
Go to PurifiedWater.com. Using it can get your no one wants that.
Thank you. Yes, every day. Every day. Thank you.
Find a job?
I'm working. I got two interviews set up.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
In this week's Market Report, Raja Manar, Chief Marketing and Communications Officer of MasterCard, talked about Medicare.
Basically, Sonic and Sonic branding, the principles of measurement of the same, but the parameters that you measure are different.
We made them, and what we find is that in this place, it stays that itself in order. As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia is smart growth. Go to iHeartResults.com for more.
The Dell Technologies spin manual sale starts now with savings on select PCs powered by the latest cross-gen integral processor. Plus, get deal on select accessories and free shipping on everything. Save now by calling 877-ASK-DELL.
It's showtime. Join us at the Bart Hall Show, March 29th to April 2nd at the Long Beach Convention Center, presented by Progressive, and celebrate 75 years of Hall Show excellence, the leader in outdoor recreation since 1946. Go to hallshows.com, hallshows.com.
U.S. Bank is ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with retail banking in California by J.D. Power. Since California has home to most award shows, please prepare to thank you speech. In California, everywhere we've been proud to help you plan, budget, and save smarter. Our goal tracking and budgeting tools would have no place to sign in to work for you. And if you were not for that, thank you to our real life teammates who go above and beyond for our customers every day. For J.D. Power 2022 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Member FDIC.
Hey, it's Team Sharp. If you're planning on going solar, listen up. The state has changed the way new solar systems get reimbursed for the power they produce, and the change is not in your favor. Fortunately, there's a grandfathering period to lock in the current rate, but time is running out. The deadline is April 14th. So how do you do that? You start by calling Sunlux. Even if you're not ready to install the system, it's okay. Sunlux will help you get your solar documents filed. There is no time to wait. Go to sunlux.com, sunlux.com. CHLB 100 and 374.
KFI AM 640.
The news, what it means, why it matters to you.
You gonna drive? Yeah.
I'm really curious as to what song you heard your wife and daughter sing that you had never heard before.
Ever.
That's wild.
I mean, I know both ridiculed me for it. It's not a new band. It's not a new song.
Yeah.
And I'm old enough that I would clearly have heard this. And you're gonna make fun of me as well.
I would never.
Yes, you would. You very much would.
Yes.
We have been following, obviously, the biggest story of the day today on this Monday, March 27th, is a shooting at an elementary school run by a church just outside of Nashville. Technically, I guess it is still considered Nashville. It's sort of the southwest out of downtown Nashville. Police are expected to give another update on this shooting. We do know that a 28-year-old woman, according to Metro Nashville Police Department, a 28-year-old woman is responsible. She came into this school, Covenant Presbyterian Church, with 2 rifles and a handgun, killed 3 students, 3 staff members, before police eventually shot and killed her. Now, we have a reporter from a nearby area, Holly Thompson and Marcus Payton. They go through the timeline from just a few minutes ago on their report live from Nashville.
We heard, and it was basically John Aaron, who's the Metro spokesperson with the police department, walking us through the timeline of exactly how that played out. Because we know that first call came in right at 10:13 this morning. It was the first 911 call that they received of an active shooter, and then they responded immediately.
Yes, they did. We know that as soon as they went in, they heard the gunshots. They went in to where the gunshots were being fired off, and that's when 2 Metro police officers engaged that 28-year-old shooter who is now deceased. And we know that that shooter was pronounced dead at 10:27. So it was a total of 14 minutes from the time the shooter, or the time the police got that phone call, to when that shooter was pronounced dead.
We know the shooter was armed with 2 assault rifles, also a handgun. We also heard Johnny Aaron mention specifically a pistol. We also know there was an injury, and that involved 1 police officer. It was apparently a hand injury. At one point, he mentioned in attacking the shooter, but we don't know the specifics to that as of yet. We are working to learn that. Apparently cut some glass, but we're still trying to get all those injuries. So the officer is expected to be okay, but we do know the 1 injury. But again, we're talking about 6 victims
in this entire situation.
Again, Holly Thompson, Marcus Taylor from WSMV out of Nashville.
Again, that 1013 call, that was the initial 911 call, and the radio that the shooter was down was at 1027. The more I think about that, the more I think that was damn quick. 14 minutes sounds like a long time, but you've got to figure, at best case scenario, is a 4-minute response time, right? That's when everything's working the way it should work. When first responders
we don't know when, we don't know where they are.
You don't know where they are.
In coordination with the other officers that are going to all head to that scene. The first, 5, I think it was, what the public affairs director said, that the team that went in was a team of 5 officers.
Right, so you get there, it's, now it's 10:18, okay? You've got to figure out where the shots are coming from. Okay, it's on the 2nd floor, you make your way up there, it's 10:20. You get into whatever scene you're going to see unfold. There's kids screaming, there's people blood, there's bodies, all of that. You've got to neutralize the shooter, and then by the time they get back to the dispatch and let them know the shooter is down at 10:27, it seems like that's reasonable to me.
Yeah, and that timeline itself, right now we only have these big benchmarks of the 10:13. Now we only have these big benchmarks of the 10:13 and the 10:27. Hopefully in the next update from Nashville Police, they'll be able to fill in some of the other portions of that to give us kind of a better idea of exactly what happened. President Biden has been briefed on the shooting, according to the White House. We do expect President Biden, there's a different event, I think a small business event that's currently being set up for in the White House. So the expectation is that the president's going to make some comments about that. Also, in Nashville, they are setting up the microphones for yet another news conference. So the assumption is that will begin soon. When either one of those begins to happen, we'll take it to you see it live. We do not know yet what sort of a connection the shooter has to this private school. We mentioned that the Metro Nashville Police Department had announced that she was a 28-year-old woman. You can assume from that, the specificity, that they know exactly who she is. They are now in the process, you can assume, of going through any social media accounts that she may have. She hadn't erased them. They're going to go through and search any home or homes that she has there in that area, see if there's any other clues as to motive.
Talk to anybody that she's connected to, whether it's parents,
friends, co-workers, anybody. And then another layer of this is the potential for her to have a connection to the school. I don't think it's better or worse one way or the other if she was unconnected to it and just used it as a target, or if she was connected to it and that this was seen in her eyes as some sort of retribution or payback for, something that she thinks may have happened to her. So
this small school is run by a church. They do not employ a school resource officer. And, the conversation's already playing out on social media, and I just find it distasteful when incidents like this, tragedies are just pressed to dive into the politics of it all. But I will say this. If I had a kid, I would send my kids to a school that had armed officers. Period. Full stop.
Yeah.
I would have to have that. That would be like the number one thing, because that's where we are right now in 2023 in this country.
I don't think that's unusual. I think that there's people who would feel unsafe simply because of there being a weapon on campus, which I think is a naive way to look at it.
Yeah.
And even having an armed officer on campus doesn't guarantee
it, but it gives me peace of mind.
Right. I mean, imagine if this happened, if this was a school that did have an armed resource officer, armed police officer of some kind, a law enforcement officer on campus. This isn't even a big school. I mean, this is a small church campus.
Yeah.
And in the event that somebody wanted to do harm, all they had to do was come in and do harm. It's going to take some time, even for an armed resource officer in the opposite side of the building or outside of campus or something like that, to respond in the event that something like this goes down. But I completely understand that sentiment, the idea that stuff like this happening in places like this make it seem like that's the only way to safely do it. But I mean, you asked a question earlier. What does that say about it? What does that say about the mentality that that's what makes us safe? That this is so common now that this string of 6-year-olds holding hands being escorted out of school it's not unusual. You've seen those pictures before in places. So.
And in a few years, he'll be like, "What? Oh, remember when that happened?" That's the most terrific part about it. When Mark was in here last week when you were in Nashville, oddly enough, and there was a shooting, and it was on the anniversary of the shooting that happened in Denver at a supermarket, and I thought, I don't even remember this supermarket shooting. I remember Buffalo. Right. I remember Trader Joe's. I didn't even remember this one. That's just a sad commentary.
All right. Well, we'll keep you updated. Again, we are standing by. Oh, here we go. President Biden is speaking from the White House. Let me see if I can pull this up. He is going to talk about small business. Ben, how are you there, Al?
One of the best guys in the United States.
Ben Carter. Again, President Biden, right from the White House. Building on the small business boom is what the title is, but here's the president.
It's the late to have you all here.
You might want to get into this back there.
Did you fix all 4 of them? Well, stand up, guys. Well, I want you to know, again, like you, I had 2 brothers, so we were 3 in our family, 3 brothers, and 1 sister.
I don't think he's going to talk about that.
Smarter than all of them. Not a joke. She used to be 3 years younger than me, now she's 23 years younger. She managed every one of my campaigns for all the freedom that I wanted her that day, but she starts talking about it.
Yeah.
Supposed to getting all folksy.
Yeah, let's not get into that. All
right, we'll come back. We'll keep an ear on this, and we'll come back. Deborah Mark is live in the Campfire 24-hour newsroom.
The LA Police Protective League says Twitter has suspended the account Killer Cops 1984 for violating its rules and policies against inciting violence against police officers. Disney is set to begin layoffs this week. CEO Bob Iger wrote a memo with the first 3 rounds of cuts that will total about 7,000 employees. City workers in LA have taken down the fence surrounding Echo Park roughly 2 years after that park was closed, and about 200 homeless people who lived there were moved out. Southland weather from KFI, partly cloudy, highs mid-50s to mid-70s. This report brought to you by Echo Park. From the Southern California Toyota Dealer Traffic Center, let's go places. We're going to crash on the 15 in the 4. 15 northbound right at Glen Helen Parkway. The brand new crash. This is blocking the second lane from your left, and you're already stacked up coming away from Sierra Avenue. Good news, so that's Chickamauga. 15 north on Foothill on the Unibreak. Trying to clear those bales of hay from the middle lane. In north of Unibreak as well to clear a stall from the Santa Monica area to the right shoulder. And in Rivera, 5 northbound right at Florissant Avenue. A large chunk of concrete is along that second lane from your left. It's pretty heavy coming away from at least the 605. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jean Harmon. Okay, we're going to go back to President Biden, who was talking about that school shooting in Nashville.
And we have to do more to stop gun violence. Ripping our communities apart, ripping the soul of this nation, ripping the very soul of the nation. And we have to do more to protect our schools so they aren't turned into prisons. You know, the shooter in this situation reportedly had 2 assault weapons and a pistol, 2 AK police. So I call on Congress again to pass my assault weapons ban. It's about time that we began to make some more progress, but there's more to learn. But I just wanted to send my concern and heart out to so many parents out there. I've been to so many of these sites that Ben knows, quite virtually every one. And one of the things you folks should, I know you do know, but you should focus on. You know, just like when in the military, my son was in Iraq for a year, other places, there's so many members of the military coming back with post-traumatic stress after witnessing the violence and participating in. So these children, these teachers, they should be focusing on their mental health as well. And so I'm grateful. Anyway, sorry to start off that way, but I couldn't begin without acknowledging what happened. And now I'm grateful all of you are joining us here today. Natalie, thanks for that introduction and for doing such an amazing thing in Detroit. Detroit, NTC started for electric vehicles in the Motor City. Keeping going during the pandemic. And I wanted to welcome your son, Tia. Where's Tia? There you are, pal. How are you? You gotta be proud of your mom. You gotta be proud of your mom.
I wish you would have killed him with an iPhone.
Like Natalie,
Have an iPhone head. Shit. Fucking sick.
No, there's nothing to just put a stat.
All right, we're going to pull away from this again. President Biden, they're speaking from the White House, making some comments about the school shooting.
What are you talking about?
Discussing, among other things, calling on Congress to take action and pass some gun safety legislation. As we've seen multiple times in unfortunate situations like this, there's not really anything. First of all, we don't know who this woman is. We don't know where she got her weapons. We don't know what the motivation is. There's a lot of stuff that's unknown about this, and it's not clear if any of the proposed legislation, whether it's in Tennessee itself or nationwide, if it would have any impact on what goes on, what it is that happened.
It is odd that it was a female shooter. Female mass shooters, very rare, despite the fact that mass shootings are all but rare here in the United States. But there have been 17 mass shootings carried out by women in the country since 1979, according to NBC News. Seven of the 17 were school shootings. But, like I mentioned, the story out of Denver area from 2019, that was a female and a male. So, the most recent mass shooting by a female was May of 2021 when a sixth grader pulled out a gun out of her backpack, shot 2 students and a custodian before a teacher took the gun away. I do not remember that.
I don't remember either. We're going to go live now to Nashville together Sunday. 6 people who were tragically injured. What I know at this point is at 10:13 today, officers responded to a shot fire call to Covenant School, the church school. Officers immediately responded. Team 5 immediately went in the school, went to where gunshots were being heard, and engaged the suspect. We have identified the suspect right now, tentatively a 28-year-old female wife. We know the address of that person as well, and so we have some ongoing investigations as to that. We have 3 adult victims, and we have 3 children who have been identified, and their families have been contacted. Right now, I will refrain from saying, other than to say, I was literally moved to tears to see them and the tears that they were being ushered out of the building. I want to say thanks to all of our partners, to the FBI, the ATF, and other federal partners, to the THC, Tennessee Highway Patrol, the CBI, the district attorney, and to the fire department, who all came together and seamlessly addressed this situation as quickly as possible. I've already gotten requests from the national media about a great response. We're still accepting that as well. But what I can say and what I've said before is that whenever I hope that we would never have this situation, that if we ever did, we would not wait. We would immediately go in and we would immediately engage the person perpetrating this horrible crime. And so that's all I can say. Right now we have David Rouse, director of the CBI, who will come out to present his portion.
Didn't do as well as the other one. Someone always put up a fucking number. 27 fucking. whatever that was a big one. Again, I told it. Let's see you think about this. So, I don't want to sit down. I think that we gotta work on it.
Taking place here, and as well as sending our heartfelt prayers to the family.
I just don't want it to be like, oh, well, there's a female. I don't want motherfuckers that, well, I don't know what happened, but I'm assuming it's a female, so it's not going to be a higher death toll. I just did see people motherfuckers saying that. And I'm just like, no. I don't want people to stereotyping female.
Is also involved in the portion of this incident. So the incident where the officers engaged the suspect.
I just want everybody to know, I think that a woman can kill just as many people as a man can, if not more.
Because there was a fluid speech, so there wasn't a single stop in the action. And so as they investigate the homicide, then we felt it was most appropriate for them to continue that investigation. But we will assist in our role as an independent oversight.
I don't think they've gotten the fair opportunity to have.
And so that's
you know, I mean, men have always been like, no, I'm going to take down these motherfuckers, I'm sick of them. And they go do it themselves. No, it's time for women to have their own
opportunity. You wish you wouldn't have to do these types of things, but when you do, you want to have the working relationship that we have in our long-term community here in Tennessee. It is amazing. And we've all come together as one and working very tirelessly. And we'll continue to work together to address this situation. It's a horrible central tragedy, and we'll be here working with our partners to get through it. And next, I'd like to introduce the District Attorney General for this area, Glenn Trump. This is the ultimate crime when school children and caregivers are the victims of senseless gun violence. Can't say anything before we first express our concerns to the victims and their families and the extended number of victims that are traumatized by today's event. I came out on the scene today because our current operating procedure is that when an officer is involved in a shooting, the CBI comes out, and I believe this was a unique case. And I want to make sure that everything was handled appropriately. Director Ralph was out here almost at the exact same time I got here, and Grace had already been on the scene for a while. The three of us met and talked about how the investigation was going to be handled. We made a joint decision, informing what the two law enforcement leaders how they wanted it to be, which was that Metro was going to handle both of them. The CBI would participate in capacity to continue with making sure that we have transparency and everything, and to make sure that back up them into the right. I can't stress enough how seamlessly that worked out of conversation. Decision to be made quickly and appropriately as far as how the case will be handled from here. Director Ralph. I also want to thank Chief Swan and our fellow partners as well. Well, I cannot comment about the ongoing nature of the investigation. Really impressed with the work that's being done by law enforcement. Yes, good afternoon.
What's your favorite part?
First, let me just say, everyone else, what a tragedy that is. So our hearts and our prayers do go out to all the family members, and also the first responders that actually make this call. As always, the fire department and Office of Emergency Management, our job is to support, and we were here at the beginning, and we'll be here to the end. We just ask that everyone, again, as we said earlier about prayer, we ask for that. And ongoing support that's needed from our standpoint is to get support in any area that's asked for on the scene. So again, we thank you, and from this point forward, we'll just continue on with our mission and try to bring some type of closure and resolution. Thank you. I anticipate there will be another briefing at or before 4 o'clock. We will entertain 2 or 3 questions
at this moment before these gentlemen have to go back to the scene to continue their work. Did you identify the shooter?
Yes, we have identified the suspect. It's a 28-year-old female white. It's actually a Nashvilleian or lives in the Nashville area. We are having ongoing investigation as it pertains to her.
There's a guy? Yeah.
We have. Was she wearing body armor? I can't say that far into the investigation. I don't remember seeing it, but I can't say for certain if she had body armor on her.
What size bra was she wearing? Was her proper fitted bra?
At one point,
Did you get it upstairs? Did you get it upstairs? I do not. I do not remember. I do not recall if I got an upstairs. I have to. We haven't looked that far into this. I don't follow up. I've never forgotten any fucking upstairs my entire fucking life. They are burned in my fucking memory. Okay, so I can tell you right now.
Don't remember a fire alarm going off. I was told there was kids that evacuated into a wood line. They had the presence of mind to do that and to go to a fire hall. Once we arrived on the scene, we had everyone moved to First Baptist Church in Woodmont. And this way, we definitely feel that reunited, and then ultimately make the notification on the kids. There was a door that was entered. All doors were locked to our understanding, and how exactly she got in at this point is still under investigation. There is a vehicle that was nearby. They gave us clues as to who she was, and so, but as stated, that investigation is still ongoing. Did the school have protocols? They did have protocols. We had, unfortunately, 3 kids that were tragically hurt. It could have been far worse.
They both see back.
I have to look that up. You wouldn't have so many homework today. But that's how it's fucking
This news conflict out of Nashville. Police giving an update on that school shooting that happened 2 hours ago. 3 students killed, 3 staff members killed. The shooter is herself also killed. When we come back, a little bit more about the very strange details that surround it.
motherfucker.
He may have been at that school at some point, and that someone at that school at some point, and that someone who claimed her identity actually came from a car that they believe was hers in the park. In the park-year-old female shooter at the elementary school run by a church in Nashville has also been killed. So 2 students, 3 staff members who will come back. And unfortunately, we're bringing a whole lot more detail. This is KFI at ALSC HT2 Los Angeles, Orange County. And we're here on the news with the
ALC 9 have remarked last in KFI 24-hour news room as you've been hearing 3 children and 3 adults have been shot and killed at a private Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee. Officials say the female shooter was killed by police. I am truly without words. And our children deserve better, especially when Joe Biden's decision over Nashville in prayer for the 200 students enrolled in school this spring. Fences put in place following the removal of a large homeless camp are coming down in Echo Park. KFI's Blake Foley reports live from Echo Park, where he says some people are protesting the move.
Several people have shown up to the park and raised signs. This will be said the fence did a good job preventing crime.
There was mental anger, there was working, there was violence, there was rape, there were devastating it was a late. It was awful, you know, and because of the fence.
Because the fence, the park feels a lot safer. The fence was put up 2 years ago. Following the city clearing about 200 homeless people from the park, officials say they cleared the park to make repairs. Councilman Hugo Soto Martinez, who now oversees the district that houses Echo Park, says he won't allow camps to grow like they did. He says service providers and outreach workers will be at the park 7 days a week, and unarmed responders will be here at night. Reporting live from Echo Park, Blake Foley, KFI News.
Several businesses in El Segundo have been hit by alleged smash and grab burglars. 6 separate locations had windows and doors smashed in along Main Street, where most residents gather in the city. Lieutenant with El Segundo PD Ryan Danowitz says these burglaries appear to be related.
These occasions were all around the same city, some across the street, some around the block.
Related.
These occasions were all around the same city, some across the street, some around the block.
Danowitz says investigators are going through surveillance related to reports of a break-in at 3 a.m. Saturday, and the department wants to reassure the residents of El Segundo that there's no need for worry. Chris Sadler, KFI News. Police in Westminster are looking for 2 men involved in an armed home invasion robbery.
2 subjects that entered the house, snatched their wristwires. Westminster Police Command, one of them possessed a handgun, and they repeatedly asked all the money that was in the safe. The victim did not have a safe, they don't have any money at their house.
The 2 men, both wearing dark hoodies last night, forced the homeowners to help them search. And when no safe was found, the man was doubled for a walk. Investigators are searching for surveillance footage looking for a light-colored 4-door sedan. In Westminster, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
And the former head of Metro has withdrawn his nomination to lead the FAA.
Bill Washington said he no longer saw a respectful, civil, and viable path forward to Senate confirmation. Washington faced harsh criticism during the nomination process because of what some lawmakers called a lack of aviation safety experience, along with his ties to a corruption investigation in LA connected with Cuba Fuel and no big contract. After leaving Metro in 2021, Washington became CEO of the Denver International Airport. The FAA administrative position has been vacant since July of last year.
The KFI Financial Update is sponsored by Jacoby & Myers Injury Insurance. And the average price for gallon of regular gas in California is $4.82. Don't wait. Maximize your compensation after an accident. Call Jacoby & Myers now. Just for you since 1972.
How you doing, Michael?
Taking a 70s for Metro LA and inland Orange County, with 60s for low 70s in the San Gabriel and San Fernando Valley, and the Inland Empire, mid 50s for around 50 in the Angeles Valley. Right now, 68 in Tustin, it's 58 in Laguna Beach, the same in Fontana, and 65 in Van Nuys.
Hey, Josie. How you doing, baby? Taking a I just pulled an all-nighter. On Twitter Spaces, had huge results on Discord. I had like 118 people this morning, so I was taking a nap. Sorry, I was not aware. No, you're good. I'm here for you. Hey, what camera on what camera are you?
And yesterday, Mariana, Winchester Road to 79 southbound right 100 Road. Traffic lights are not working, and it is causing a really big back up there. KFI in the sky, I'll get you there faster. I'm in Harmon.
All right, jumping right back into it. Gary and Shannon, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
The breaking news coming out of Nashville this hour about this shooting where 3 adults were killed, 3 children killed.
Yeah, I was on a podcast.
Middle school there.
Yeah, that's the podcast. So what you want to do is type viral, VIRAL, Rabbi. Make sure you get the live one. Yeah, that's different streams going on.
Specifically, but that they do know that she was specifically a student, and his only hesitancy was he wasn't quite sure exactly when she was a student.
Well, my initial finding is that at one point she was a student at that school, but I'm sure what year all of that. So that's what I've been told so far.
Derek Dennis is on the story.
Which one are you? Which one are you?
Now with all of the details. Derek, how did
right
this
here.
unfold this morning?
Well, it was just
Oh, you're up top. I see it. Hello. Yeah. I got you up top. So that I got one up there. I got another one here. That's through that way. I got a third one here. I got a fourth one there. I got a fifth one there. I got a sixth one there. That's just on YouTube. Then I've got 2 on Discord, and I've got 7 on Instagram, and 1 on Twitter. And when I say Twitter, I mean Twitter video, not just the Twitter space. It's over 1,000. I'm sorry. It's over 150,000 hours. of video. That's raw, basically, for the last 2 years. Going back to fall of 20, I started live streaming, or started recording my soft swing, and then from there, got interested in live streaming, started live streaming one day, and haven't stopped since.
Also going to the suspect's home, looking through her car, going through social media, talking to friends and family, trying to get an idea of what may have motivated this. And so those details are expected to come out as well. But before that, we're expected to get more.
It is. Have you seen the Truman Show or Big Brother, the show? Exactly. So it's just like that. Except, my consent to do it. But essentially, I have my license 360 degrees on one floor, and then you've got up top, which is another. And if you look on Instagram as well, I've got Instagram going back for years as well. So this isn't just on YouTube. I mean, that's the primary amount of the video. But I also have Instagram. I have a account. No one I know has more than like 5. I spent the whole month of December. Yeah. And so I have at least 1,069 TikTok accounts. And why? So I'm like the king of TikTok. I know how TikTok works probably better than anyone. And here's what happens on TikTok. Basically, it has a shit algorithm. If you say anything out of line, or they will suspend your account for yeah. So they're very, very strict on things, and you can't mess up or they'll take away your account. So I got pissed at because they kept taking away my account, and for no reason. Why would they take down my account? They would say that like it was made copyright material, like hateful content. It's like my screen goes down and I go, motherfucker, they consider that hateful content. So fine. So I just felt like I would beat them. So instead of continuing to lose accounts, I just decided I'm gonna make 1,000 of them. And in order to 1,000 of them, and in order to Exactly. Go for it. I could sit there naked all day and jerk off, and they just take them down. I just start up another one, and there's nothing they can do about it. So I was in the situation where if you want to go live on TikTok, it's not like Instagram. It's not like you can just do it automatically. You need 1,000 followers, which is a pain in the ass to get 1,000 followers manually. But when you have 1,000 accounts, all you do is like all the other 1,000 accounts, and you automatically already have 1,000 people who like you or who are your friends on TikTok. So basically, exactly. So I've done that on TikTok. Now on Instagram, what I've done is I've created, with using auto clickers, like things that auto click on the phone, automatic uploaders to Instagram. So what does that mean? Every hour, Instagram takes an hour of my life and uploads it to the cloud. So I have, going back for like years now, every hour you can just watch my life on Instagram. And that's on 7 different devices. So what's interesting about that is it's like perfect hour increments. When my live streams are, I don't know, one of them's like 2 hours, another one's 3 hours, another one's like 8 hours, another one's 11 hours. These are always perfect like hour segments. So if you were like trying to find like, for instance, I've had some really interesting things to happen on this live stream. We've had, like, I have myself on camera during an earthquake. Not everybody has that. It's kind of an interesting thing. I also have myself, like when big events happen, when the swing time, so I've got that on many different angles. And so I can watch it on many different devices as well. But it's sometimes easier to find because on Instagram, all my stuff is pretty easily chronological, just because every hour it uploads a new video. While on YouTube, it's chronological, so I can just go back to the date, but it's a little bit more difficult. It's probably 7 hours long or 2 hours long, just depending on how long that stream was. But nevertheless, I mean, it's really the world's most complete timeline, time capsule of history that anyone's ever compiled. I don't, but in the future, I really think AI. Yeah, AI is going to be able to do that very, very easily, basically. It'll be able to dissect everything I have and then also prep transcripts for it. and also highlights of the video, which is really exciting as well. I was doing this manually using like Otter, if you're familiar with like Otter. There are some like transcription services.
People who know a lot about guns.
Exactly. But you get to a point where you're all content, meaning like what I do is very exciting. I don't have time to just edit this stuff down to make like one or two videos of it. And it's like, no, I need to move on to the next one. Eventually, I know that AI will be so good that essentially I'll be able to give it an 11-hour video. It will cut out every point of the video where I'm not talking, only take the parts where I am talking, and then also give me highlights of what I did. And that's just the next video.
A combination of all of that stuff. I mean,
I think it's too early for all of that anyway.
yeah, it is. 3 students, 3 staff members shot and killed at the elementary school in
Yes, you're right. And when, you know, like as we discussed previously, the idea that AI needs a model, a human model on which to build its foundational databases, and it currently doesn't have this much raw data on anything. No one in human history has voluntarily given up all their freedoms to be on camera for, let alone 1 year, but 2 years. And that includes everything from exactly. In the shower, while I'm brushing my teeth, while I'm cooking, while I'm taking, when I'm using the restroom, I mean, I do everything on camera, but no one actually has the courage to be able to put it out there and let people see it.
It looks like right in Lake Street. We've got a big run making
Yes, that's right.
shoulder and in Westminster on the 22 West, right at Springdale Street. We've got a brand new crash. It was blocking the right lane. Looks like they are
so with that, that's
the right shoulder.
With that, that's a little about me.
You there faster. I'm Jimmy Harmon.
yeah, just like that. Okay. All right, here we go. Gary and Shannon, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Yeah, just like that with that.
Wanda, come on in, Jimmy.
Absolutely.
So,
It's my favorite thing in the whole world.
and now do it. Okay. There's already on the folder. Okay. A mother who was there visiting the park.
Oh, just the one who grabbed the mic?
Yeah. Ashley Beasley. That's her. It's her name. After the first news conference this morning, this would have been Don Aaron, Nashville TV public affairs director, who showed up before the chief was able to get there.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. I would do the unboxing, of course, on camera. I do everything on camera, and I would also do any kind of promotion you want for it, because that's very nice of you.
Woman shooter, the 20-year-old female shooter, I learned this one. He also was the one that mentioned the 2 rifles and the handgun. We didn't have a lot of information at the time. This was the earlier news conference, not the one we just heard. And said, among other things, that they were going to be coming back a little bit later for an updated news conference, which we just heard.
I go as far north of Santa Barbara, as far south of San Diego. That's not to say, I mean, I go out to Riverside, down in San Bernardino, so that isn't that, I don't do that much stuff out there. Hollywood, Beverly Hills, I go to Beverly Hills, when I do go out, I go up Beverly Hills, usually most often, or like Santa Monica, I like to go to the beach, and what I do is try to get a 3-camera setup going, so if you were there a few weeks ago? Oh, beautiful. Well, yeah, absolutely. So, I would try to get at least 3 cameras going at once. Ideally, though, once it's this big, I would use a 360 camera and perhaps just have it where people can POV my life and live stream it that way. When it comes to food, I get it all delivered, really. I have gone out and gotten it, and when I do, I'll put that on camera. But honestly, I know that my bread and butter is in the live stream, and the best way to be able to do that is where I have internet access